We're here for the 7th game of the Vikings season against Yorkshire Rams. Should be a close one. The previous game at Yorkshire was only 4 points, 3 points, 4 points?
3 points.
3 points. So we're expecting it to be pretty close today. They need to win to maintain their playoff position. Although they're in the playoffs, it's just whether they're at home or away. Before we go into talk about the actual game, we just want to talk about last week. Coach and Craig, you were with us last week when we went on the road trip to
Yeah, it was a fantastic game of football. The thing that stood out for me was the overall organisation of that Cheetahs unit.
Yeah.
We saw a flag team, youth, junior, adult, and right across the board. They were well resourced, they were well organised, they had tons of coaches, tons of volunteers,
tons of supporters.
As well.
Maybe 300-400 people on site enjoying the
good
day.
Facilities, a bar, barbecue, a PA, live announcer. But the thing was, you could turn up there age 7 and continue your entire playing career, and also had links with the local university. So it really was a cradle to a grave in terms of playing.
You could tell that as well because the assistants, everyone was introduced to it as, oh, this is my partner, this is my wife.
Yeah,
this
real
is,
family
This is my
feel.
uncle. You know, my uncle's going to do the camera because he's the head coach of the youth.
Yeah.
You know, it was that sort of thing where, sort of, once you're in that club and that environment, you're gonna stay, and it's just gonna go from strength to strength.
Yeah, I've got to say, I was really impressed with the setup and the fact that we turned up at 10 o'clock in the morning for a 3 o'clock kickoff and everything was already done. It was ready.
Do you know what? I didn't notice that, but it was all done, wasn't it?
And we were made very welcome, and we were given food and drink and well looked after. And I'd like to say on behalf of UKFL, I'm sure all of us would, that it was a great day out. And we do hope to have some more games like that next year. We hope to hit the road and do other teams.
And also as well, Mick, Sussex Thunder were very amenable. The coaches were more than happy to speak to us. So it's one of those things we could give all the viewers a decent access into both sides of the football game, the family feel of the club and everything. It was a good spectacle for Britball in general.
Well, it was the other thing as well. We're always getting accused of being biased because we do Vikings.
Some of us more so than others. I'd say, Jonathan, not pointing any names.
No names, no pack drill. But in that situation, we were neutrals. It was a completely different outlook.
People just found out I was miserable anyway.
Absolutely. So we're going to talk about the game today in a moment. We're just going to go to cut for some adverts, and I think we've got some highlights of some interviews, and we'll be back soon. Hi, I'm joined by Kev O'Regan, the head coach of the Northumberland Vikings. Welcome back, Coach.
Thank you for having me.
Been a while since we had a chat. I think it's the first game of the season.
Yeah, first or second game. Yeah, it's been a while.
So moved on a little bit. You pleased with the season so far?
Yeah, pretty much on the whole. I would say I'm happy. We've had a couple of issues that we've had to fix to right the wrongs of the EKP game. But on the whole, the season's gone pretty well. Disappointed with the EKP result. I think we did enough to win the game. But by the same token, a lot of people were talking about that touchdown in the corner that wasn't a touchdown. Like I said to the guys, we need to do more to make sure that those type of calls don't affect the game.
Yeah.
And I think the guys have took that on board. We needed to improve our discipline. We definitely did that in the last game. Much more professional on the field, on the sideline.
Well, I did notice you saved your best performance for when the cameras were there.
Yeah, I know. It's a shame you couldn't have been there because you would have seen a totally different Vikings team. Like I said, the discipline's been an issue all season, both on the field and on the sideline, and we've took some steps to improve that. And Glasgow was proof in the pudding that when we get a bunch of guys all on the same page, all supporting each other, not chatting to the refs, not back chatting their coaches, then we can go out and put on a good display.
Right.
And
I did see some of the huddle highlights, and it did look like it was an all round really. The defence scored 2 touchdowns, special teams got 1, so all round.
We execute on all 3 sides of the ball, which is what I've been trying to say all season. If we can put it all together, all 3 phases in one game, then I don't believe there's anyone in this division that can hang with us, to be honest. We've had games where offense have played well, defense have always been good, but offense hasn't been good every game. Special teams have let us down in some games, but Glasgow, it all clicked, and 42-0 tells the story.
Okay.
And the Glasgow team probably wasn't as strong as the Glasgow team we saw here, for whatever reason, I don't know, but we definitely raised our game, and I'll be hoping for the same today. So.
Only beat what's put in front of you, can't you?
Yeah, you can only beat what's put in front of you. And I watched your coverage of the Rams against the EKP. It looked like a good game. It looks like the Rams have got back to the type of Rams team we're probably used to.
They were certainly much better than in the first game.
I mean, they showed signs of that when we played them down in their place. You know, to hold us to 10 points when we were firing on all cylinders on O was pretty good. But yeah, our defense has been massive, and if they keep playing the way they have, then we're never going to be out of games.
Okay, so you mentioned the game down there where it was quite close for most of the game.
Yeah.
Eventually winning 10-7?
10-6, yeah.
10-6?
Yeah.
What do you think about today?
I mean,
optimistic?
You won't get a prediction score-wise from me, but again...
I can try.
You can try, but I think if we do what we know we can do and play to how we know we're capable, then we should win this game.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I've been trying to preach align, execute, win all season because I'm a big believer in that. And when we do it, you see scores like we put up against Rams, like we put up against Gateshead. When we don't quite do it, you see some of the other performances we've had this season where the games are a lot closer.
Well, I suppose it's better to be getting good at this time of the season rather than being good at the start and then fading away.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I think if we can carry the good feeling and the positive momentum from the Glasgow game into this one, then it should be a good day for the fans and a good day for the team. So.
Okay, well, thanks for joining us, Coach.
Yeah, no problem.
Cheers.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Good afternoon. I'm joined by Dale Bottomley, the Yorkshire Rams head coach. Welcome, Dale.
Hi, welcome. Hi.
Thanks. Good to see you. Now, we've covered a couple of your games. We covered the game at your place, and we covered the EKP game. I know you were sunning it away somewhere on a cruise.
I was otherwise engaged that day.
Okay, well, football's not everything, is it?
No, it's not.
I suppose you're allowed a week off.
Try.
Yeah. How are you pleased with this season so far? I know you started quite poorly, but you seem to be getting a bit of momentum now.
Yeah, it's nice to see things come together eventually. It's we've had a lot of changes over the past few months, probably since Christmas. A lot of guys have left, and a lot of guys have come on board from various different avenues. And over the past 3-4 weeks, the past couple of games, it's come together, and the results have shown that. It's not all about the wins for us, but we want to perform to the best we possibly can. And I think we looked at the next second half of the season and just said, let's perform better than we did the first game. And against Gateshead, EKP in Aberdeen, there's actually been 90-point swing in our favour. So,
right.
What more can we do than that, and just keep on improving each game?
Yeah, I think the Aberdeen results, they were a real shock to everyone. Both of them, both at home and away. To lose at home so big, and then to take a small squad and just win away. It's a huge trip and a long day, and it's all about getting through the day, isn't it?
It's a fair old trek up there, isn't
absolutely,
it? We didn't quite realise how far it was till we did it.
It's a fair way,
and we took 20 players up there and just thought, well, what have we got to lose? And the guys were outstanding, and we got to half time 0-0, and we're thinking, actually, we could probably do this. Why not? We've got a long way to go home. You might as well, when it's not as simple as that. But it was nice to see it all come together. So
what's the secret? Would you put it down to any one thing, or is it just a combination of?
Yeah, it's a mix of different things. We've got a lot of experienced players. We've got guys that have joined us from university teams, so they've got some experience there. The coaches are fully committed. We don't have a big coaching staff, but the guys that we've got, Jason Shaw, Christian Thompson, and Kaylee Wybrow and Mark, are so committed to what we're doing, and that's so important to how we've managed to get to where we are. And what we want to do is finish the season strong in the last 2 games, and then build on that for next year.
Now, you did, of course, lose a number of players to play in Europe at the start of the season. I know Tyler, who was a really, really top-class player. I hated that kid because he always got interceptions against us. I don't really. I love him really, but and I think Connor as well. No, Connor didn't play for you, did he? He played for the university. But that must have been a big gap, losing those type of players.
Yeah, it's kind of, you could say we lost them, we say we'd never really had them. There's a few guys I know from university teams, and from Carnegie especially, that were looking to play maybe senior ball if they didn't go to Europe. They went to Europe, which is great for them, and we're always going to encourage guys to do that. It may be a good situation next year where they've had that experience and maybe they want to stay in England, and obviously they've got other work they've got to do and that stuff. So I think it's putting things together for next year. We've got the full pathway now from schools all the way up through 13s, 17s, 19s. The 2 university teams work together really nicely. We've got Griffins and Carnegie on board now. So for us this year, in terms of the management committee and the coaches, was just getting the team together and getting things set for long-term success. We're not in this to just have a 1 year flash in the pan and then leave it all and they can crack on.
I think that's the way it's got to be, hasn't it?
That's what it's been. That's what's satisfying about our performances have come together finally. But we are looking for a 5+ year thing here. It doesn't happen overnight.
Sure. Okay. So today's game, any particular changes you made? Anything you're going to look to do differently from the first game?
Maybe a few things. But obviously Newcastle and Northumberland know how we run our offence, and we've got a few new things for defence. We're just going to chuck everything we have at, and why not? We've got 2 more games. Yeah. We don't think we can make the playoffs, so it's just a chance to finish strong and give guys a chance to just go out there and enjoy playing football.
Sometimes as an opponent, that's it's harder to play someone against someone who's got nothing to play for, because you just relax and have fun, So I know I've just been speaking to Coach O'Regan, and he's not taking this game lightly. He knows he's going to be in a battle today.
Yeah, we've got our pride, and I'd just like to mention it's Charlie Goff's last game for us.
Right, okay.
I don't think he's going to play again.
Okay.
So it's his retirement game essentially. So that's a little bit extra motivation for him and for the players to give him a good send-off.
Has he got a number? Do we know how many he's made? Is it how many seasons?
I don't know the history, but
right, okay.
He's a very experienced. He's played 10 to 12 seasons now. So we'll try and get the stats to you.
Okay, that'd be interesting. Okay.
But no, it's important to give him a good send-off. He's a good player.
All right. Well, thanks, Del.
Cool. Thank you
very
much. Cheers.
Traveling this holiday season, you are going to want to get this, guys. Check this out. This is the homing pin. 1%. Now, this seems like a low number to me. 1% of all bags carried by airlines are misplaced. That seems really low. Anyway, exactly right. For a family of 5, traveling twice a year means 20% chance of losing your bags.
Now, Homing Pin provides travelers with baggage loops with tags, key rings, and stickers that have a unique tracking number. Homing Pin labels can also be attached to cell phones, laptops, cameras, and passports.
That's right. You can get a 15-piece standard pack for $20 or a 5-piece starter pack for only $10 at homingpin.com. Now, we spoke about this a couple weeks ago with our tech expert, Nika Allen. So if you want to get a recap on that as well, head over to casa.com. But really, really great stuff, because it will locate, regardless of where it is, it will locate your bag. So you don't have to rely on the airline saying, well, we don't know where your bag is. You can say, you know what, I'm going to do you one better. Right here, I can tell.
I can tell. Can you imagine though, like flying into the Sunport and be like, my bag is in Miami?
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome.
Traveling this holiday season, you are going to want to get this, guys. Check this out. This is the homing pin. 1%. Now, this seems like a low number to me. 1% of all bags carried by airlines are misplaced. That seems really low. Anyway, exactly right. For a family of 5, traveling twice a year means 20% chance of losing your bags.
Now, Homing Pin provides travelers with baggage loops with tags, key rings, and stickers that have a unique tracking number. Homing Pin labels can also be attached to cell phones, laptops, cameras, and passports.
That's right. You can get a 15-piece standard pack for $20 or a 5-piece starter pack for only $10 at homingpen.com. Now, we spoke about this a couple weeks ago with our tech expert, Nika Allen. So if you want to get a recap on that as well, head over to casa.com. But really, really great stuff, because it will locate, regardless of where it is, it will locate your bag. So you don't have to rely on the airline saying, well, we don't know where your bag is. You can say, you know what, I'm going to do you one better. Right here, I can tell.
I can tell. Can you imagine that, like flying into the Sunport and be like, my bag is in Miami?
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Awesome.
Join the thousands of businesses who have taken out a fast, affordable funding circle loan and help your business fly.
It's approaching game time. What's your thoughts today?
It's going to be a great game, and I'll tell you why. You've got Kingmakers here in the Yorkshire Rams who have nothing to lose, but if they go out and beat the Vikings are second place. So this is a team that can't make the playoffs, that have improved rapidly throughout the season, and they can actually still influence what happens in the playoffs. The Vikings, they have to win this to give themselves a chance to go up to East Kilbride and then look at try winning the head-to-head to win the conference, or at least put themselves in with a shot. So this is one of these games that's important for both teams.
Well, we all know, I mean, you particularly Coach Kevin O'Regan, he'll only take one game at a time, but he's got to have half a mind to that EKP game, hasn't he?
I think so, yeah, but it's like a train. You just got to keep on rolling. So they improved. They obviously had the setback at East Kilbride here versus East Kilbride. Then they had a fantastic display away at Glasgow, and it's just I think they've got to be thinking more fuel on the fire. Yeah. I don't think any coach really wants to rest at this time and relax and play it safe. I just think they've got to keep chucking that coal in, accelerating into the playoffs, and I'm going to take a little different standpoint to Craig. I think that the Rams might take a few chances to look to the future a little bit, try to get some guys to play. We all know it's an expensive sport. We all know it takes a huge amount of time commitment, and actually this is the time to see some people play who maybe haven't had as many opportunities.
They look a bit short on numbers, Coach.
They do, yeah, and it's a mixed day today. It's when the sun's out, it's really warm. There is cloud cover, and we're kind of half and half at the minute. But when it comes out, it's really warm. And the good news for them is the style of offense, and also the style of defense is they don't tend to move around.
They've got the perfect setup to exploit the talents of a smaller squad. In that this flexbone offense, it's a slow, take 3.5 yards, grind it out, keep your defense fresh. No mistakes, field position, so you can rest your guys. So you don't need as many guys when you're looking at some of these explosive players for the Vikings on offense. You know, they're putting in a lot of yards and they need rest, so they can slow the game down. And I think it'll be a close game.
You were probably looking at maybe 100 snaps today. rather than maybe 120, 130 in a game between two spread teams. So I think it's I've got no concerns about the Yorkshire Rams sort of finishing. No concerns about how tough they are. They're going to bring exactly what they do, which is, they line up right, principled defence, play it tough. But I just feel we might see a few things today where they try some things out.
Okay, prediction time.
Well, I'm going to go with what I think is currently the better programme, and that's the Vikings. But I'm not saying it's a foregone conclusion. I think they have to earn this victory today. If they play poorly, they will lose to the Rams, because the Rams has got a frustrating type of offence that if they get in front, they can keep themselves on the pitch. They had a 17 or 18 play drive against East Kilbride, where East Kilbride were just sat there and couldn't really influence the game, and it culminated in a score. Now, they put points on East Kilbride more than the Vikings did. Now, Jonathan and I were talking about this. When you play spread, your defence practices against spread, and East Kilbride, same as Vikings, their defence is set up to that. This is a different type of offence. It's a one-off or twice in the season, so it does put your defence under duress. Notwithstanding that, this defensive unit have showed so far they are the best defensive unit in the conference. They've only given up, I think, 31 points this season, and they've played everybody. So, it's the perfect matchup, because this defense has players. They want to make plays, and against this offense, you've got to play very dull assignment football. You do your job and nothing else, and rely on your teammates.
So dull is the key.
Predictable. Some people think it's dull. Reliable, predictable. Don't try and do anything over and above. Make sure you 100% do your job. And sometimes players get frustrated. They want to influence the game, But we've seen this Vikings defense for 5 years. It's been the best we've seen in their conference every single year. So I expect similar from them. We've got some good playmakers on the defensive line. A really solid secondary with Josh Penny coming back in at cornerback, and fantastic linebackers, Ducey Burwell, Dick Carr.
Where's your money, coach?
I'm a bit heavier on the Vikings. I think might just be a bridge too far for the Rams. I think they've had a great season. I think the organisational changes they've made behind the scenes with Coach Bottomley coming in, and the change of practice facility, and the continued sustained growth of the academy, all fantastic. But I just think that you've got this team that's rolling, that's feeling good, that's got eyes on the prize, and you've got this team that's now not really playing for anything other than their own safety. And I think that bears down on players a little bit. So I got Vikings by maybe three scores.
Okay, well, there seems to be some short delay. I think that's probably because the refs have just come from the Gateshead EKP game. They're working hard today with a double header.
I actually went to that game, Mick. I can talk to you about a little bit of that.
Like?
Got there, caught most of the second quarter, part of the third quarter. Gateshead, 2 good scores, 2 good drives, throwing the ball on slants underneath against a cover 3, running the power game effectively. East Kilbride had a lot of second stringers on. They did have their starting QB. Made some mistakes in the first half, but it was encouraging to see for 2 reasons. Gateshead put some drives together, made some plays, but the class of that EKP organisation in the second half, they pulled away 53 points, I think they put on in the end. So it was nice to see. They were resting some guys, keeping the quarterback's eye in. A couple of the D linemen starters I know were on, so they're obviously, I think they're looking forward to this showdown.
So we were talking about this before the game, about this points conceded, because now we're at the business end of the season. The maybe not in the first game, because that's whoever finished first and finishes second, but certainly in the second round of the playoffs, when the 2 top teams, let's say, win through, it's down to points conceded.
And that's where the Vikings hold the edge.
Is that going to come back and haunt EKP?
Well, I initially thought it was, but we looked at the numbers, and Craig reminded me that that table we looked at was before today's game. So they'd already had a 60-point differential with Sandwell.
Right.
So I don't think Sandwell are going to concede 60 points for the rest of the season, let alone in the last 2 regular season games.
So they probably took the view that
it was already a done deal.
But looking forward, I mean, East Kilbride and the Vikings, provided Vikings win today, which I've said is by no means a foregone conclusion, it is going to come down to that last game of the season. And I think you've got to win that before you think about where you're going in the next round of the playoffs, etc. You've got to win that, because if you don't, you're going as second seed. You've got to travel to Sandwell anyway.
Okay, well, let's just talk about that a little bit. We know that 3 of the 4 teams in the north are pretty much I think even mathematically now,
the three best teams,
which
the
would
three
be
best teams.
Kilbride, the Vikings, and Sandwell. I think it's still a bit of a scrap between the second place in the south.
Yeah.
How do you see those matching up?
Well, I think the fact that we're still scrabbling for second place further south shows you that the best three teams are already in the playoffs, and whichever way it rolls, two of those three teams will be in the final. In my opinion.
And I think that there's only really two outcomes. Last year, Lancashire Wolverines were in this division, and they had a phenomenally successful year. Really great, exciting offense. If they've stayed the same or improved, and Sandwell have done to that division where the Wolverines have struggled, then Sandwell are going to be a scary, scary proposition. If the Wolverines have dropped back a bit, we're just not going to know. It's going to be really hard to say. Sandwell, to their credit, look absolutely first rate in every sort of capacity. Hugely athletic, good numbers, great coaching staff.
I mean, they've been at a level now for a number of years. It's just they've been unlucky enough that they've always been slightly behind Leicester Falcons. So they've been a quality club.
And
both sides
playing
of
the
ball.
Falcons twice a year physically takes the toll. You're going to pick up a few knocks and a few injuries.
Absolutely.
Okay, we're going to wrap it up there, gents. Just maybe have a quick advert before we get pitch side. Craig and Coach Rooney are going to be commentating as normal today. Please feel free to give us some join in the conversation. I think we're ready for kickoff.
Yeah, and it's going to be Vikings to receive when we cut to the field. At the statistics before, and Jacob, as much as I love him, has a negative 5.5 yards per carry average, and he tacks on another -1 there. But it's one of these things where you've got to test it, you've got to try it, and they're trying to get people outside the box, and they'll have things that they can build off it.
Yeah, I mean, number 18, the outside linebacker who's lined up with the slot, made great outside contain, forced it back. The linebacker's flew it over the top. Brings up 2nd and 12. Looks underneath, it's a clean grab.
And great yards after contact, secures the ball and drags them for about a 6-yard pickup. Big strong guy, Dion.
I mean, number 27 had decent coverage and he got his hands on him quickly, but you saw the mismatch in size.
Yeah, you can't coach 6'4", can you?
No.
Dion's also a really tough, strong guy. He's a military guy, works for the RAF, and he knows extremely well conditioned. Yeah, you ain't 6'4".
Correct. Drops back, flushed out the pocket, rolls left. And I think he was going for a sort of a 15-yard comeback.
Yeah, it looked a little short though.
Overthrown.
I think if he'd been 15 yards deep there, that ball would have been on the money, but it looked like Dion had taken it maybe just past the sticks.
Yeah.
One of those things where, has the receiver made the decision to go early to get the first down, and is the QB fully wired into it?
Well, you can call that. I mean, sometimes you have these comeback routes, and you can call them comeback
Just
sticks.
yeah.
Just get that yard and a half beyond, so when you turn, you're picking up the first down.
With a great snap,
Oh,
clean
that's a
punt.
beautiful,
Oh, and
wedge
what
bust by number 40, but
what
the
a
ball
punt.
That's a beautiful kick.
And that is an unbelievable flip of field position. So that ball was punted from about the 36-yard line, and it looks to be inside the 10.
Maybe even further back than that, Jonathan. That was absolutely.
So the line of scrimmage was the 36. So yeah, Jacob would have been about, on his own 24 maybe.
This is our first chance to see the Yorkshire Arms offence out. We've been informed there'll be a change of quarterback today. Number 99, Josh Green in. Probably. What are your thoughts on that, Jonathan?
Well, I think there's two factors. First of all, it looks like they've travelled with two wide receivers. So Chris Winrow's taking up a position at wide receiver so that he can play extremely well, and he's out here on this near side. So it looks like they've made a decision to go with someone else. I can't quite see the quarterback's number because they are the far end of the field, but we'll get that as soon as we can.
44 defence from the Vikings.
And it's the triple with a great run up the middle, and it looks like Luke Campbell?
Who's there to make the stop?
No,
Safety, number 21, Connor Joyce.
We're
calling his name a lot.
Yes, he's an extremely active player, and
we were talking about free safeties in the Brit Bowl game, needing somebody, if you're going to have a successful defence, you need a free safety as well as defending the pass. Get downhill and make secure tackles every time.
And run that alley nice and clear, especially against one of these option teams where, in theory, the front seven can never be right. Got another carry up the middle, but this time it's stuffed a lot easier.
Well, they're grinding. That gives us third and shortish.
Yeah, they'll be happy with this so far. There's been no mistakes. Change of QB and they've got the ball off, and we are looking at about 3rd and 3. Difficulty is they've probably have to punt on this field position, so they've really got to pick it up here.
We talked about that front seven never being right, and that is where having a decent free safety comes into play, because he's not schemed on by the offense. He's out of the play calling, so if he can get up there and make tackles, it can shut your offense down.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it drops. He's keeping it. And maybe
He
the
looks
biggest
short.
He
looks short. Yeah, especially with this Vikings defense, they look like they're in the standard 43, which they play. It looks like they're. It looks like the strong safety number 60 is down in the box. So yeah, Connor's going to have a big job from free safety at running that weak side alley. He's got some very good linebackers and DNs in front of him, but he's going to have to play mop up. And they've given it as a first.
Yeah.
That's just our perspective then on it, is it?
Gives to the dive back, number 55 in on the stop.
I think he put it on his hip and pulled it himself. Yeah, the QB comes up with it.
I mean, what I'm encountering here, Jonathan, is half the problem of playing this type of option offense from the second level perspective. Sometimes you're hitting your gaps, you're not quite sure who has the ball.
Yeah, especially as players, particularly like the offensive tackle, are not really making a block at the line of scrimmage, so it's very hard to even define where the gap is. Is the gap on their left shoulder? Is the B gap on the tackle's left shoulder? Or is it on his left shoulder where he finishes up? And it's a very difficult thing. We have a pitch outside.
Number 5 makes good contact and stuffs it.
Yeah, and it's nice.
Josh Penny, let's talk about that quickly, Jonathan. Josh Penny playing cornerback today, made great contain, stuffed the run, but he's gone from being defensive coordinator to the starting cornerback today.
Yeah, I mean, there's a whole load to unpack there, but one of the real strengths of this Vikings team on both sides of the ball is I think there's currently 12 or 13 players who are coaching in Uniball. So he's handed the DC over to the head coach of the Northumberland Mustangs, or last year's. So
3rd and 8.
They don't lose too much in that aspect, and what you gain with having Josh on the field is incredible. He's physical.
And that's our first flag. I think the Rams stuttering a bit there.
A little bit, but you know, it's been a good start so far, so we'll try and stay positive on it. One thing that this really shows is how important special teams is. That huge punt from Shotton now means that for them to go and score here, they've got to get it right 20 times in a row. And if they ask themselves really deeply and think about this season, how many times have they had 20 snaps in a row without a penalty?
Well, the coach was...
It'll be less than a handful.
I was speaking to their OC before the game, and he talked about an East Kilbride drive. It was 17 plays, and that was his focus. Drops back to pass, looks underneath on the slant.
Pick six.
By number 3.
And it's the birthday boy. Oh my word, that's Ducey Burwell. I don't know if you saw it pre-game, but he came over and he said, guys, I hope you have a great time today. It's his 26th birthday, and I said, go take one to the house, go get a birthday present.
Well, happy birthday, Ducey Burwell.
Happy birthday, Ducey Burwell.
He stepped forward, he read past, he dropped back into his zone. It was the slant underneath. He undercut it, fielded it cleanly, went straight to the sideline. There was no one there fast enough.
Absolute perfect.
Pick 6, and this takes an early lead.
Yeah, and
Vikings defense. And what did we say about their defense on this Vikings team? They've already put you up 6-0.
Yeah, and the other thing about the Vikings defense, you know they're not shipping more than 1 or 2. So it gets to the stage of like whoever scores next is going to have a huge strength here.
Jacob Shotton on the extra point.
Nice.
Straight down the middle.
Yeah, nice technique to lift it as well, because the blocking up front wasn't great there. A few Rams players got through, but the holder who put the ball on the floor managed to get it racked up right, and Jacob gave it the little chip to add the extras.
Well,
we're 7-0.
We go back to that first flag of the game that took them a third of a sort of almost manageable 8 into a 3rd and 13 where they were put under pressure. They had to throw the ball. It's not the strength of this offense.
Yeah.
And look at the outcome against this great Vikings
do you
defense.
want to run a fade against Josh Penny with Connor Joyce in support, or do you want to run that slant? Well, he chose the slant.
Well, funnily enough, the OC said before the game he'd still run the ball at that sort of 3rd and 8, even 3rd and 13, and play conservative. I mean, I'm talking in the value of hindsight here.
Yeah.
They clearly didn't mean that to happen, but even on a slant, you're not going to pick up 13, are you?
Well, they're hoping to break one. Whether it's pitching the option, whether it's some sort of option reverse, whether it's some sort of pass, they're hoping for a missed tackle.
But this is one of the drawbacks from taking the ball under centre. It's very difficult for a quarterback to drop back, read the field and release the ball cleanly on such a long route as a fade or something.
Although that's more of a damning indictment, I think, of where we are as a game, because you know it was that way for 70, 80 years with quarterbacks and they were fine. Have we just lost the art of teaching them to drop? It's a booming kick. It's going to be fielded by Kymar Stewart deep. He decides to bring it out. Here we go. And he hits it well, but he just gets tagged on the ankle again. Connor Joyce, yeah. 21. Look, I thought Connor Joyce got up. He looked to the sideline. He's looking for the stats guy to mark him down. I think it was number 21 with the ankle tap there, because he was motoring.
Yeah, I mean, he's dangerous in the open field. He's got some good moves on him. He's not afraid of contact, but once he gets up to speed, he's difficult.
And even though he brought that out from deep in his own end zone, he still got to the 25. So he did really well there. That's Kymar Stewart, number 17 for the Rams.
Just go back to basics. Say
100%.
Establish the run. Yes, we made a mistake.
100%. Give it to that fullback a few more times. You've got to make the linebackers play the fullback, and we've got to make the linebackers stay inside the box.
Throws it underneath on the screen.
And there you go, there's that little missed tackle. That's, I think, is that... It looked like it was Chris Winrow out there at wide receiver. So the quarterback that started most of the games is now playing at wide out, and he looks to have made quite an impact already. He's picked up a 4-yarder on a now screen.
That'll settle the quarterback a little.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just get the ball out, high percentage completion. But let's look at this is a top quality Vikings defense today.
Yeah.
I think with the addition of Josh Penny at cornerback, you've got number 42 at cornerback. I was watching him warm up today. Really fast feet. But
the Boston Cream.
He's got lovely footwork.
Phil Sabelli. And I know his parents will be watching back home in the States. They watch every game. So hello to the Sabelli family tuning in.
And then you've got number 21, Connor Joyce, as your free safety. So you're not going to make too many mistakes in the secondary, which means that front 8, which is unusual for us to say this Vikings, does have a chance.
But if you notice here, we're in sort of 2-by-1 set with split backs here, so it's a little bit of a different look. It's still mostly the same playbook. But it's really interesting that they chose to go weak side here, because when they put the 2 receivers on the near side of this field, Vikings number 60, who's not a player I'm really familiar with, Freddie McCauley, he exited the box quite sharply. It's clear that he's a strong safety that's playing over number 2. So as soon as they put the slot receiver out here, there was a lot more space this near side.
So you're thinking they're just adjusting this base cover 2 shell that they've run almost exclusively?
No, I think they're in pretty much. I think they're in. I think they look to be in either 1 or 3, but they're just making sure that he's lined up over number 2. They're not going to give anyone a free release.
4th and 4. Jordan Matthews, number 14, back to return. Number 3 on a charge. He was close.
It's going to be a first down, though. Sadly, he has run into the kicker's leg. This is going to be a 15-yard penalty and a first down.
I mean, number 3, Ducey Burwell, who had our pick 6 earlier, had a clean shot. He was unblocked.
Yeah.
We picked the wrong angle, and he's gone through and picked up that.
Yeah, I think actually
horrendous turnover killing.
You know what? Penalty. I think he had the right angle. He just had the wrong timing, because if you noticed, he hit the guy's foot. He reached his hands out.
Okay.
He didn't hit the ball.
He missed the ball.
He hit his foot. If he'd been there a split second earlier, we'd have a block. Remember, against East Kilbride, he blocked one.
Well, here's the thing, though, Jonathan. You want your play, because let's put it the other way. Let's say he had got his fingertips there and blocked it. That could have potentially been a score.
It could have been game over.
At least a field goal, and not even all the way through the first quarter. You're sitting on a 2-score lead. So I'm not going to criticise him.
No,
too
absolutely not.
And because he was unblocked.
And in Brit ball, 15-yarders are a part of life.
Especially in this field position.
Yeah,
I mean, with this offense, you're not too worried because they're a small chunk.
There's 15-yarders almost every game in Brit ball, and if your 15-yarders are because your best punt blocker is a millimetre away from blocking the ball, trying to change the game at a blink of an eye, they're the ones you have to kind of shrug off. You have to reaffirm the principles, get to the block point, reach down, but you can shrug them off. The disciplined ones, the blocking the backs, the roughing the passer, they're the ones where you're thinking exactly.
It's the 50-50 game day decisions.
You don't ever want to slow someone like Ducey Burwell
down. The best field position for this Rams offense we've seen in the first quarter. Gives it up the middle, immediately hit by
Ducey Burwell again.
I mean, he may have given away a penalty there, but he's making up for it in a hurry.
Yeah, it's we really could do with someone else on the Vikings defense coming in. We've spoke about Connor Joyce, we spoke about Ducey Burwell. Right now, it's a 2-man show.
Yeah, but we talked about this before the game. We talked about having players that play assignment and freeing up some of your more talented guys. When you look on this defense, and you're going to see. I'm not saying they're the only 2 guys with talent, but they are 2 of the top players on this
it's quite
defense.
interesting here. They're in a 50 front now. They have walked down to a 50 front, and those guys are doing that role. They're covering up the 5-0 lineman, letting Ducey run free.
Yeah, I think that could be a false start on the Rams. It's nice to see this when we go under centre. You see both lines, offensive and defense, just got that little bit more weight forward. There's that bit more of that violence at the line of scrimmage.
But I think partly that, I mean, you're absolutely right, under centre it's always going to be a bit more. I think one of the biggest factors, and I want to see it a little bit more from the Rams, their defining play, or one of the defining plays that leads Carnegie, is the QB sneak.
And we've not seen that yet.
And it's one of those things, and it's going to be hard to sneak against a 5-man D-line when every lineman's covered.
So you're thinking, why didn't they try that against the 40 front?
A bit earlier, yeah. Especially, but...
Maybe they're not trying that because you've got number 3 sat in the middle who's just going to take one step forward, read it, and
but
downhill.
if you make a wedge, he's either got to go over it, which he might, or he's got to, go hard.
Back to a 40 front. 2nd and 13, drops back. Overthrows
and there's
it.
your boy, Phil Sabelli.
So I think he dropped back. Was that in the cover 4, do you think, Jonathan?
No, cover 3. Cover 3. They got 8 in the box. Just soft corner, free safety in the middle of the field, and Phil Sabelli there, the Boston Cream, coming up goal. Like you say, he runs his feet beautifully. He makes a controlled turn, feet in the turf, accelerates under the ball, looked like a receiver. You know, reached his hands up over his head without turning
it
back.
was a poor throw by the quarterback. He overthrew it, but the cornerback was exactly where he wanted to be on that, because he wasn't getting beat deep on a fade, basically.
Yeah, and he actually looked like he was receiving the fade, because he reached up, caught it over his shoulder. Great job.
Once again, your defense has got you a turnover. So we're still in the first quarter. You're deep in your own half.
And this is only the O's 4th snap of the game. They're coming out to trips, and they've shouted it, but there hasn't been too much of an adjustment. Backside receivers one-on-one here.
Go inside zone. And that's a lovely play off the edge. Number 40 comes round unblocked.
Yeah, he's done a great job there. He ran a great path. He convinced the guy to give it up. But it's, Adam Cowley's been doing this for 10, 15 years for the Rams. He's one of the club land.
As well, he flowed over on one of the outside jet plays earlier on. I think the first drive. He was there in support when
he's a phenomenally conditioned player as well. Extremely strong.
Here they are out the positions. I mean, he's in a 2-point stance.
But I think that's because he's trying to convince the QB to give it and then chase it.
Inside zone again, it's snuffed out, only for a couple.
It looked like there might have been some action on the trap there or something. There was a lot of lineman movement.
Number 73, Nick Kozina, in on the stop. So before this game, we've talked about the Rams. Their strength through the years has been a good quality defense.
Yeah.
And the defense has done nothing wrong so far.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the defense. They've got them in a 3rd and long situation here, easily winnable. 3rd and 6, 3rd and 7. They're not really changing anything about the way they line up. As we said, they're extremely consistent.
Drops back. Looks long.
He's got Jacob deep.
Has he caught it?
He's caught it, and he's broke the tackle, and you're not catching him from there.
He is all the way in.
The play is clean. There are no flags. The score is 13-0 to the Vikings.
On their own 26-yard line, QB drops back, looks against a single receiver. With an inside move, goes long, beats the cornerback, and turns on. There's no catch of the back. Beautifully executed. Went inside. I'm not sure. I think the move was inside before the ball was released.
I know Coach O'Regan really likes skinny post. I do too, so it could have been
the skinniest of skinny posts.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. You always want to cut the most vertical angle. If the cornerback's got you in outside leverage one-on-one, you go and press his leverage, you step on his toes, and then you run what is effectively an inside go, because why would you let the free safety come into play?
Good hole, straight down the middle.
It's 14.
But
so yeah,
still in the first quarter, Jonathan.
First snap, they were in trips. And we said straight away, there hasn't been too much of an adjustment. They've shuffled over, but the backside receivers one-on-one. Mm-hmm. Well, now we know that the backside corner can't run with Jacob, and this QB, Henry, is it Henry Palmer?
Henry Bulmer.
Henry Bulmer, sorry. Henry Bulmer has done a great job. We can just see as well on the feed that Ducey Burwell's family is watching. For a young man who's halfway around the world, it's on his birthday right now, so hello to the Burwell family as well.
It's been a good birthday so far. We're now sitting on a 14-0 lead in the first quarter, and Ducey's already had a pick 6.
Absolutely,
multiple tackles, and he seems to be in good spirits. I mean, if it was me and I was 26 and it was my birthday, I think I'd be here doing this.
That's true. I retired at 26 though.
I retired some years after that.
But who knows what's next for Ducey? Obviously, he's completing up his masters at University of Durham at the minute, and hopefully he'll go on to big and bright things. Kickoff team's got a real bounce in the step.
Yeah, position already.
They got 2 scores. You know the D's going to come and play, so let's go and attack.
Well, the thing is as well, Jonathan, with this type of offense, you can score, but it's can you score 3 times in this game, because it's such a slow
and unfortunately Luke Campbell has just lost his footing as he returned it on the full, very brave, full speed, but he just tripped and he's been downed at around the 20.
Down from your own 26
after all the fan mail that people have been writing in, they're like, Rooney, will you get the good mic this week? So I came down here nice and early and got the one that works. Coach O'Regan's just had trying to get a point across to the officials there, which is a slight delay, but we're going to have a snap pretty quickly. Amazing effort from the officials today. I know, there's the whole recruitment drive on at the minute, but they have, most of them have come down from Scotland. Well, sorry, half of them have.
They've already refereed one game.
Yeah, they've refereed a game. It's hard. So thank you for making this game happen. They got a completion, and Kaimar's got the ball, and he
reaches as well. So you can tell you've got a player who's been around a game long enough, because Kaimar, it wasn't a particularly good offload, and he was tackled immediately, but the first thing he did was pick up 2 yards on the tackle, because he managed to reach his body forward.
And even though, like you say, he's trying to make the guy miss, and the guy didn't miss because Sabelli's right there. He runs his feet through the contact really well, but because he half missed, he got the body roll and a 2 or 3 yard pick. Yeah. Actually, looking at the chains, it looks like it's 3.5. Really nice to see from the Rams that the
44 cover 1 or cover 3 look.
The 4 backs, the wing backs and the receivers are changing positions almost every play. So, Kaimar was just in at wing back there, and now you've got to track him all over the field, and they were going to try and prod and poke and find a matchup they like. Now, D lineman Alex Shellard, number 11, was limping there. He's a tough guy, but he's decided to kneel down on it, and we're going to have a small break in play. Now, interestingly, that point you said before, where Josh Penny's playing and they're going to switch over the defensive coordinator roles, and I said, okay, it doesn't matter too much because it's Robbie Brumpton that's calling it. Robbie's just now had to sub himself on the field with this D lineman going down. So I don't know if he's passed it over or they're going to do it on the field, but this one looks like it might take a little time.
Yeah, well, the first person walking over is Josh Penny, and I would imagine the conversations they're going to have quite quickly is who's going to be watching this.
Yeah, and I think that on the sideline we can see Coach Tom Andrews. Tom Andrews is one of the guys who he played at Northumberland Uni, played for Vikings for a few years, suffered a couple of bad injuries back to back. He ended up going home to Carlisle, and he was with the Sentinels early in the season. He's one of the 3 or 4 people that came across when that team folded their season. He's a guy who's worked with Robbie at Northumbria. He's worked with the Vikings for the year. Yeah, absolutely. And he's got quite a prominent footing on this sideline. So maybe they have. And that's like we were talking about Hearts last week. The true strength of a club isn't just what your nut ones can do or what your twos can do. It's what your management team can do. It's what your coaching team can do. It's what your business support and your sponsors can do. It's a whole holistic approach to football that we've seen some of these programs over the last few years, like Tamworth, grow from nothing to be national champions. I think it was only in 6 years.
Yeah.
Sandwell.
As well, the Vikings.
The Vikings. East Kilbride had a little bit more history, but they definitely 5 or 6 years ago made a real commitment to the youth game. They were one of the first clubs to massively champion that alongside the Blitz.
Here we go, 3rd and short, about we call that 2 yards?
Looks like it, yeah, it's a long 2. QB's slow to go under centre.
You've got a big hole on that B gap. Burwell steps downhill.
It's a
QB
pass.
drops under the slant underneath. It's immediately hit, but it's a clean grab.
It's a first down.
I mean, this is the thing though, Jonathan. If you play sound defence, you force the execute.
Yeah.
You force the offence. You say you have to execute every play, otherwise it won't work.
Yeah,
now, if you can execute as an offence, you can beat anybody.
And people get into it a little bit too much in the country about they call out teams too early. That was a good play from both sides.
Yep.
The Rams did exactly what they wanted. The Vikings made a tackle, but sometimes on a completion you're going to gain 6, and if it's 3rd and 2, it's a first down. It's good football all round, and we want to see more of it. But you can see the effect it's had already. Number 60, who we were talking about before, is slightly further out of the box than he was.
The fullback again, immediately snuffed out from I think both D tackles.
Yeah, and I think that's defensive end Matt Dyke getting in there, Newcastle Raiders
D
player.
Tackle and D end.
Yeah, just a nice squeeze.
Got to get more movement from your offensive line if you're going to be successful in this offense.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I mean, the offensive line of this Rams unit, they are some big guys.
Mm-hmm.
They've got to try and get movement.
Yeah. And you've got to marry it up with the perfect read as well, because if it's a triple option and the defensive end has made the tackle, then the quarterback's got it wrong.
Yeah.
But look at how far 60's outside the box here already. They are influenced by that early pass. And the QB's kept it this time.
And pitches it. Just in front.
Spin move upfield from the running back, and he's picked up about 6 or 7 yards, and we're going to be 3rd and short again.
And Rams will be happy with this.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, is this the time we see our first QB sneak, Jonathan?
Potentially, but one thing we did say is, like, if the DN makes a tackle on the triple, the QB must be wrong. Great patience from Coach Bottomley to call the same play again, and his QB get it right, flip the ball out to the wing back, and a huge pickup. It's one of these things where one play isn't the defining point in a day. It's a series of events that you just keep checking again and again and again.
Throws it underneath on the now screen, and that's enough for a first. I mean, we saw that earlier on in this drive. They only needed 2. They picked up 6 on the short throw.
And here they pick up 4 on a now screen, and
so
again Phil Sabelli in on the tackle.
Just for the viewers, because you and I have been around this game a long while, but they'll be saying, well, why aren't the Vikings stopping this throw underneath? So explain to us why the Vikings are happy to repeatedly give up the short route underneath.
Well, because they're 14-0 up and it's the end of the first quarter. So that's one factor. If this game ends, the Vikings win. So this is just taking time off the clock.
Yeah, but why specifically are they happy to let that happen repeatedly?
Well, because they've already had a pick 6. So sooner or later, the QB's going to miss his throw. Sooner or later, Leeds are going to get an offense and an offensive penalty. Sooner or later, some defender's going to come in and make a hit and dislodge the ball.
Or, as we saw previously, sooner or later, the Rams are going to try deep.
And they're going to pick them
those
off,
cornerbacks are already going to be disciplined. They're going to be lined up deep. And they're going to have the pick 6. The pick like number 42.
You have to give something up on the football field, and they're okay with giving up the flats.
Non-scoring plays.
Yeah, they're giving up the flats. They're good tacklers.
So here we
they're
go.
good pursuers.
Second quarter, still 14-0. Drops back
Pass
to pass.
again.
Looks left.
QB's
left.
taking off. Throws late. Oh no!
Who's there again? Number 21.
Almost with the interception, Connor Joyce. Kymar seemed to slip just as he curled up, and rather than making progress back to the QB, unfortunately he lost his footing.
Yeah, I mean, normally when the QB's flushed out and when he's rolling, you would say to your receivers, you mirror his movements, whereas Kymar had stopped, and that makes it a difficult throw for the quarterback.
And add the fact that he slipped, and that just, if he steps forward 1 yard, maybe he catches it in the gut. Connor hits him, but it's a first down. On this one, it just opened the door for that interception chance.
2nd and 10 in this flex ball, and that's not a good position to be in. You need positive yards on your first down. Okay, pitch left.
It's a good pitch, but
great
number
57, Dick Carr, straight through. That's a mismatch. Number 17 on number 57. I mean, the weight and strength differential there, I think it's a bit much to ask.
Dick Carr is a man mountain. I mean, he's in extremely good shape.
I would not put a receiver in the open field to try and block him.
No, and he's in extremely good shape, and he trains extremely hard, but it's freakish. Like, he tells me how much he weighs, and I'm like, are you serious? He weighs roughly the same as me. You wouldn't believe it, but it's just such.
I think it's all
dense,
your beard. It distorts the viewer's
possibly
perception of
your
your weight.
His is just dense, thick,
muscle.
corded
I think it's called
muscle.
Jonathan.
Yeah,
that's why you're not sure what it is.
Okay, but he's north of 19 stone, I believe, but he still moves very, very well.
Rolls right.
Pick.
Oh, that's a beautiful. Oh, what a hit! Is that Connor Joyce on the hit? Or is that?
I think it's going to be Josh Penny.
That is a beautifully timed hit. Great
Josh
play
Penny.
by the quarterback, rolled out. You had 2 receivers running out, breaking routes.
Yep.
You actually went to the underneath receiver and fielded the ball cleanly, but he was met immediately.
And I could only see the player's helmet, so I thought it was an interception because I saw the black lid with the decal on.
It's number 5, Josh Penny, on the hit, I think. I mean, he timed that well.
He did, yeah. And it's great to see because people love the hitting aspects of the game, and it's great to see a good, clean hit. Yeah. It's fantastic.
Interesting though, Jonathan, it's 4th and half a yard. We've not seen a QB sneak. Everybody lines up tightly.
Now, when the QB's slow under centre, it's quite often a bit of a key.
Look at the line splits. And
he's fumbled it. He's got it and he's over.
The offensive line came up with 0 splits. The fullback was no more than half a yard behind him.
And quite often QBs have a tell on the sneak. They slow in and they rub their hands.
So the defense for the Vikings is walking off, which probably indicates that it's a turnover through the fumble.
Yeah, it's been called. It's been called a first down for the Vikings.
So is that a turnover because it was a recovered fumble, or was he down before he made the first down?
I didn't see the referee's signal either way. I mean, the QB did look like he kneeled down and reached out for the football, but
right, because he fumbled it forward.
Which you're also not allowed to do on 4th down, in particular.
I wonder why.
Yeah, so I think they may have said, actually, if you fumble it on 4th down and progress the football, we've got to give it from the spot you fumbled it.
Right. Well, either way, gives Vikings decent field position on the 33-yard line.
They bring the trips this way again, and they've got to kind of they've really got a 4-over-3 over here, but the backside safety looks like he's going to commit to the box here and leave Dion one-on-one.
So we hand the ball.
Oh, and there's a fumble, and it's a Rams first down. That looks QB exchange.
I mean, the Rams are indicating it's first down to them, as they would.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a first down Rams. You could see there on that snap a little bit of nerves creeping in. Anytime the running back and the QB share that quickly, you know it's been sped up a little bit. The mesh needs to be a touch longer. We need to secure possession. But the running back was sprinting one way, the QB was sprinting the other, and the timing wasn't perfect.
Maybe he's been told on the sideline that he needs to start working this read.
Potentially,
try and freeze the backside defender.
But
either way,
when you're faced with a player like Adam Cowley to read, though, you don't really want to get it wrong, and you want to get out of there.
So Rams with the best field position on the Vikings' 29-yard line, trailing 14-0 early in the second quarter.
And straight back in the flex, but now there's a really, really wide split from Winrow. He's asking the cornerback to come with him. One or two things. And it is.
Pitch left.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we talked about assignment football. The defense didn't try to step up and make a play. They just strung it out. And eventually you had linebacker number 55, Josh Tucker, and free safety number 21.
Connor Joyce,
my memory's going.
Yeah.
Then sideline to sideline, brings up 2nd and 9.
Yeah, and it's one of these things where Winrow had a great block on Phil Sabelli on this corner.
It was just too far away.
But Phil stood his ground, and he made it a big hump to go round, and actually the whole Vikings defense came through because of that. 2nd and 8 here.
So I will say that in this line interior, the Rams are definitely the bigger unit.
We've got this wing over formation here.
So it's kind of like it today.
I think maybe that was what they were in before when I noticed the 2-by-1. I thought it was split backs, but it's wing over.
So drops back, looks right, throws underneath.
On a bubble.
Number 17 again, picks up a block.
And it's a great
nice
play.
play.
Yeah, he's picked
brings up 3rd and short.
He's picked up 8 for third and 1.
So we're seeing some different play design from the last match we commentated, which was when we saw the Yorkshire Rams against East Kilbride Pirates. That's probably a function of the fact they're still installing this offence.
Yeah, and I think it's also a fact that they've changed the QB. Remember, right at the end of the second half, they subbed Chris Winrow out in the EKP game and subbed in this young quarterback, Josh Green, to pass immediately.
Yeah.
So maybe it's something that they believe that they can do. Now look at this split from Winrow again. It's either going to be a run this way or he's going to run a slant. He's asking Phil Sabelli to cover him, but Phil's an old
leverage
brown.
is taking away the slant all day.
Yeah, absolutely. But it is a run this way.
Left, I don't think he has the speed to get to the edge. And once again, Sabelli's there. He makes a hard edge.
And it's one of these things again where Phil doesn't necessarily make the play,
but he forced it inside
but he makes
to
the
the
play
rest
for
of the defense.
everybody else. He's a tough kid, and he's up against a guy who knows what he's doing.
But the thing is, Jonathan, he's up against him in space.
Yeah.
So you've got to say one-on-one, the physicality. Winrow against number 42. Winrow's going to win. But if you're intelligent enough and you've got good footwork, you can use that space to actually get leverage.
Absolutely.
To play perfectly.
And Sabelli's got such silky feet that.
You really like this guy. You've given him a nickname. You said he's got silky feet.
He's been the Boston Cream for a while. He's one of the guys that suffered it with Baffers early, kicking all the Americans out of the game.
Oh, I see.
He's over here on a Tier 4 visa at Newcastle Uni, but not on a scholarship or anything. He's an extremely smart kid.
Jonathan.
Fourth and three.
Drops back, looks left again. Oh, he goes for Winrow on the slant. He was open, but he couldn't hang on to it.
Yeah, and it doesn't look like a great throw. Winrow had to go down, but I think right now Winrow is glad the ball wasn't up because number 21, Connor Joyce, was coming in with some velocity.
We saw a similar play to this last season when Dira got hit really hard on a fair hit.
By Greg
but it
Freeman,
was an absolute crushing hit. And sometimes you get these receivers who throw the slant over the middle.
Yeah.
I mean, he was here, wasn't he? The Dallas Cowboys player, Michael Irvin.
Yeah, on
you catch the slant or you go back to the ghetto. If you're going to be a receiver, at some point you're going to have to catch the slant over the middle and take a hit.
Vikings come out in some kind of tray formation. Looks like trips, but Ross is on the line. Ross Conlon, 89, coming back to full fitness, the usual tight end.
Back. Okay, got 5-man rush, inside zone right. And who's in at running back? We had a switch.
And unfortunately, an old lineman's down rolling. He's up. Now,
got number 24 in as running back.
That's Teague Diaby.
So we've had a switch.
Yeah, we've had a switch, but it's always been a bit of a thunder and lightning backfield. Teague's had, you've got the stat sheet there, if you have a look at it. Johnny's had 100 carries and Teague's had 50. It is a 1 and 2 relationship, but
and we do have a difference of styles in both running backs.
Yeah, Johnny's more visceral and punchy, and Teague's much more of a glider.
So handoff again up the middle. It's stuffed immediately again. This Rams defense showing that they're hard up the middle. And the only thing we've seen from the Vikings against them is that one long pass play.
Yeah, and one of the ways of playing spread offense is to buy lottery tickets. Keep people in the box and then punish them when they put a few too many people in the box and you punish them. But what I'm seeing is the Vikings O-line haven't continued as they did against Glasgow, and they're losing the blocks a bit too quickly. They're sliding off blocks, and if a running back's tackled and 3 O-linemen are facing him, generally it's a bad play.
So 3rd and 10 already. Drops back, looks left, goes long, but I think that's overthrown, and it was into double coverage.
I think it's a good job it was overthrown, because if it was on the money, it looks real bad.
Number 26 and number 27 were there. That's Daniel Harris and Nick Halfpenny, read it perfectly.
And the sort of critics are going to say inside zone, deep pass. Is it a little bit too formulaic?
Oh, the Vikings are 14-0 up.
Yeah.
All we're doing is just burning time off the clock.
Yeah, absolutely.
What's your defense just done for you? They've just stopped. They've had 2 4th down stoppages, deep in their own territory.
Yeah,
that is the luxury of having the best defense in the conference.
Yeah.
You can make mistakes
and
not be productive and still win games.
And even here, they come out with only 10 players. They signal for someone to the sideline. Robbie Brumpton, huge veteran for the club, just casually goes on and he'll do a great job.
And that's shanked slightly off the side of his foot. It takes.
It's going to get to halfway roughly. We're on about it's a 90-yard pitch. So we're on about the 44 going in. And the Rams really need something from this drive. They need something going into the half. Going in at 14-0 is going to be a long afternoon.
They've had a couple good shots. They've had good field position in the last 2 drives, and it's come to nothing. They've got good field position again. They've been given, this Rams offense has been given opportunities to try and change the game, and the defense.
We mentioned the squad size of the Rams early, but it's the Vikings that have got a normally offensive player on at D tackle now, Paul Richardson.
It's number 1 at D tackle. I was just about to mention that.
And he's just subbed himself in. Looking at Shellard must be hurt. Maybe Brumpton's not quite feeling it, and he did just sub himself on.
I think he'll be calling the plays.
Potentially, yeah.
So we have on the right hand side, very narrow receiver.
Yeah.
Drops back, looks left on the screen to Winrow, who's immediately there. Number 42 makes a clean tackle, and already Paul Richardson is introducing himself to the offensive line of this Rams team.
Yeah, and Paul Richardson's got a history with loads of these guys. He played at Leeds Carnegie himself, so he played alongside a lot of these guys.
So a successful throw and completion, but it only picks up 1.5 yards, maybe 2, bringing up 2nd and 8.
It's great play from Phil Sabelli as well. He runs his feet, he wraps up, he clamps on. Talking about Dick has been maybe one of the heaviest players on the field. He's probably the lightest, but he uses his leverage and his shoulder pad extremely well.
So twins right.
So we've got this
right.
wing over.
Pitch right. Oh, and he slips the tackle.
Yeah, and what's really...
Burwell was through in a hurry, but he managed to just duck underneath him.
And I'll tell you what, there's 2 people that if they're going to meet at high speed, it's going to provide the biggest collision. Luke Campbell and Boosie Burwell.
It looked on the snap that the Rams had numbers. They had that twins and a single wing. They had 3 guys over, quick pitch. Burwell got there in a hurry. He just failed to wrap up in the end, but there was a bit of a crack.
He did really well when he was on the floor to get a little bite of that ankle.
So it brings up 3rd and 7.
Yeah, and we're going to see we're going to see this wide split from Winrow, and it looks like Connor Joyce has rotated over. Phil's on an island, but he's going to work his leverage really hard here.
So inside leverage, drops back, rolls right, looks right. it's a pick by number 21, reads it perfectly.
And it's another interception for the Vikings, and it's 21.
I mean, the QB threw that with some real whip. It was slightly behind the receiver, but the free safety, number 21, Connor Joyce, read it perfectly. He stepped right in front and just stole that ball.
Yeah, and
So once again, the Rams offense, third drive in a row, have got decent field position, and third time they're being stopped by this Vikings
the problem
defense.
is once they get behind the clock, once they get behind the chains, once they get behind on the scoreboard, they're going to at some point have to throw the ball downfield, and this Vikings secondary is too good.
I don't think we're there yet, but the thing is, they've had good field position. They've tried to run the ball and not been successful on fourth down. Now on the passing game,
I think we're getting there. You know, if the Vikings score again,
it's
going to be 21 at the half, and
different proposition. So inside slot on the right-hand side. We haven't seen him recently.
It's Ross Conlon, he's tight end, he's been injured.
Looks left, singled out, throws it long. Oh, what a beautiful grab. I mean, under great coverage, but it was one-on-one with no help over the top. Number 81 makes the grab. Dion Feather.
And Dion's done really well there.
And that's got to be a pre-snap read. The quarterback looked left, you thought. The quarterback,
it's this,
that single guy's on an island.
It's this thing we've talked about a few times. When they go to trips, they're adjusting really well to the trip side, but backside, they're basically putting the cornerback on an island. He has got help from a strong safety, but quite often the strong safety's committing to the box. The strong safety is at the same depth of the corner. He's at 6 or 7, and he's leaning forward. So essentially,
high snap, looks left again. Same play.
Yeah, and
I don't know, Jonathan. I mean, you go at the well 2 times in a row. The safety was over much quicker.
Dion did really well on the first one, not to push off.
Yeah.
Incredibly well. In fact, it looked like it was going to be an OPI. On that one, it looked like his only option was to push off. But unfortunately, because of the physical contact, he hadn't noticed that the ball was thrown back shoulder.
But also the safety was over in a hurry.
I've just overheard the official, 5:44 in the half.
Okay, we've got stack right for the Vikings offense. We've got 2 men over, so we shouldn't expect to see any screenplay. It's going to be inside zone. It's fumbled snap. Who's through in a hurry? Number 5.
Yeah, it's Charlie Goff on the middle. Mike Blitz. And Charlie Goff's a guy he's been playing the game for a long time. He's played at a high level. He's a stunning all-round nice guy.
He would have loved that because he's coming through maybe slightly late on the blitz, but because the ball's on the floor, he's got a free hit.
Well, but what's really nice is he free hit the running back and just touched the QB down. If he'd hit the QB that hard on the floor, it's probably 15 in a first and 10. But he took the opportunity to smash the running back anyway and down. You know, a sack and a tackle is nice.
So we got spread.
Yeah, it's 2 by 2.
Drops back, rolls right straight away. He's looking deep for the corner. He goes for the corner.
Oh,
and that's nice coverage. I think he could have got rid of that ball slightly
earlier. Had to throw it a lot earlier with a lot more touch and believe
number
that Ross
89
would come
knew
up with
exactly what to do, but it just unfortunately the delivery was a bit late.
And it let the guys catch up.
I mean, the Rams
got
there.
What you really see there from Ross Conlon is he's a big dude as well, but he has got great range, great running ability.
Got really good awareness. I mean, he was trying everything he could to keep both feet in bounds at NFL rules, but he had a good awareness of the sideline.
You know, he's a guy who came from the very successful merger with the Northumberland Lightning. Mm-hmm. He had a year off last year.
So here we have a field goal.
Yeah, and there's no worries about the leg
on
here.
About the 35-yard line with a 10-yard end zone. It'll be a 45-yard kick, low snap. Gets a hold of it.
Yeah.
And it's just wide left. I mean, he caught hold of it, Jonathan, even after a poor snap.
Yeah, and we've seen 2 kicks now where the snap has been fumbled and re-racked on a extra point. It's really easy to chip it and get it over, but he had to line drive it and it just faded. The distance is no issue though for Jacob at that range. He's probably good if the snap's clean and the hole's clean. He's probably good from about 50. I've seen him hit a 48. But again, we've seen 2 sort of mishandled snaps which haven't been ideal.
That's the margin of error though, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
You make one small mistake that can kill you in football. So the Vikings with a lot of field to defend now. This is the first time all quarter we've seen the Rams start from inside their own half.
Yeah, apart from really early in this quarter, yeah, absolutely.
Drops back, looks to pass again, looks down the left sideline, the ball's underneath. Sabelli
Phil
takes it in
Sabelli.
there. That was
Absolute perfect, Eddie. And actually, you see Chris Winrow, and he's played football. He's played.
Oh, we have
there's
a
some
flag.
flag somewhere.
I think that was a poor throw by the quarterback. It seemed to slip out of his hands just before
It's
he
just
released
too
it.
high. I think this is going to be on the Vikings D.
Potentially number 58, Lee Johnson.
No real signal from the crew here. Let's just talk about Phil's technique. He ran his feet, he high pointed the football. Chris Winrow's played football, all over Europe and stuff. Great guy, just lies on the floor and pats him on the back and says, "Well done, man." Like, you've got to love that. You've got to love that. Two competitive rivals.
What you got is two good football players playing football to the best of their ability. Your opponent makes a good play, congratulate him, but that doesn't mean the next time you're not going to come out and beat him. Here we go. Is this after the interception or before? That's the important thing.
Well, I mean, Phil caught it and went straight to ground, so it's going to be there's a strange timing window to actually get this. We spoke to one head coach. Speaking to the other head coach. It's like the Conservative hustings. Who have you got for the next Conservative leader?
Boris Johnson.
Boris Johnson, landslide.
After the interception anyway.
Yeah, so
Unnecessary roughness
on 73 White. But it says that penalty is declined.
You should take that because the interception
But
and
unless
turnover should stand.
Unless it was unless it was while the ball was in air.
If after the interception, it's automatically a turnover. If it's unnecessary roughness, you should be able to take that. However, Vikings have got the ball. Rams have turned it over again. Is that 3 interceptions so far?
We've got Burwell pick 6. We've got Connor Joyce. We've got Sabelli's got 2. It's 4.
It's 4. So,
and that's huge because the Vikings on the whole season are +3. They've taken the ball away 20 times, but unfortunately coughed it up 17. 24-17 is looking a whole lot better. +7 on the season now.
So, I mean, the thing is, Jonathan, this game, if you remove 2 plays, Burwell's pick 6 and that long TD, this game would be 0-0. So, I mean, this has been a close game other than 2 plays.
Yeah, but I think when on their first drive, their 5th play of the game, when you intercept the ball for a pick 6, I think there is a natural reaction to subconsciously relax a touch. And yes, it's been close after, but the Vikings are probably thinking, "Oh, this is a win. Let's get out of here." It's hard to get out of that.
It's going to be difficult for one team to assert dominance in the day-to-day play calling. Throws underneath.
Oh, great play by the DB there, because
number 27 is there again.
Dion Feather was great position, jumped up, high pointed the football, but number 27 for the Rams, Nick Halfpenny, reached in with a left hand, pulled his elbow down violently, and made he's
given up a lot of height. So in that, you need to see him be one of what I call him a scrappy cornerback. He's got to fight and push and nudge and make it uncomfortable.
And he's actually, he's a very, very good shape. He looks extremely
he's quick.
athletic.
He's quick. And you see there's a real range in the cover, man. You look at number 4 for the Rams. He's quite a big guy.
One thing that's really changed here, the Vikings have successfully
Drops
got
back,
them into a 6-man
looks
box.
left underneath, goes. That is beautiful play by the quarterback. He dropped back, he looked left, it wasn't on, and he went, I think, to his second read all the way over to the right slot, number 89.
On 3rd and 9, they've only picked up 4 or 5, and this one is out of field goal range.
It's nice to see, though, this young quarterback going through a read progression.
Yeah.
And he worked the left-hand side and then went over the middle.
Immediately coming back to his coach and said, Coach, what about this? He's clearly someone who wants to be involved in that side of the game.
Well, if he's going to make reads like that, I'm going to let him throw the ball.
Looks like they're going for it. 4th and 3. Okay, they've got that sort of field position. They've got that great defence.
We've not really seen a perimeter run here.
Interestingly, the Rams have kind of loosened the box to what really looks like a bit like a 4-2.
Yeah. I think they're going man coverage with a cover 1 back. Drops back again, looks left, and it throws it high. But number 27, Nick Halfpenny, once again was there. And I don't know, it's like we were saying before, it looked to me the receiver actually come back. If he'd have caught it, would have been beyond the first down anyway.
Yeah, I think the thing is, it seems like, I mean, Dion's had a great first half so far, but it seems to me a little bit like perhaps they've got a little bit of tunnel vision over here. It was 2v2.
Yeah, because number 27 is actually playing a decent game against him.
27's playing well, and the free safety was edging that half of the field. Over here, it was 2x2. If you're covering Jacob Shotton, you've got to kind of go deep. And Jacob was also on the hitch, and he feels that actually 2v2, you should be looking at my side of the field.
So it brings a turnover on downs. Rams get the ball back at the halfway line.
Vikings are slow to a line, but they get there.
Dive. Number 58 on the stop.
56,
56,
I believe.
Matt Dyke. And here's the thing for the offense. If that brings up 4 yards on first down, they'll keep going. They should stay to the ground game.
Yeah, absolutely. Until something changes anyway. But that was really, I mean, there wasn't any pitch option there. It looked like it was just kind of like a triple give. And it was all fullback, all day, all guys blocked. But Matt Dyke managed to just slide off his block and get something in at the legs. Winrow's here in this really wide split again, which makes me feel run this way or
so
pass.
40 front from the Vikings. Outside linebackers are very
Here
wide.
We go. Yeah, we got that dive again. Yes, it's absolutely his triple give, because the near side wing back, rather than arcing and trying to block downfield, folded inside a little bit, followed the tackle, assisted on that D end, and they just pushed the pile another 3 yards.
If you look at this though, Jonathan, your 2 outside linebackers on this 40 throw are very deep, which means they're completely unable to get into that A and B gap run game, which means you've only got 6 box defenders for the Vikings against a double tight end or double wing back.
Your DNs are playing a lot heavier and harder inside, I think. But I agree with you. I'm not sure
I think that's offside from the defense, number 1, Paul Richardson.
I'm not sure that 60 needs to have that much cushion. I do agree. I think he's both too wide and too deep.
I mean, he can certainly get to the sideline from there, but he can't actually influence anything up the middle. But that's the bind, isn't it? Because if he comes up too close, then you can pop it outside him and you blow.
But maybe they're just saying, hey, sit in that slant lane, don't allow a slant,
and just get to the sideline.
And we back Burwell.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
If Burwell's can't get blocked because you can't lay a hand on him, then maybe that's what they're saying. And this is not spectacular, but very much going to plan.
Yep. You just and all the while this offense is just running the clock down. It just goes down.
And it's what? It was 5:54 before the field goal. So we've had 2 full drives. Is that a 2-minute warning?
You're absolutely right, Jonathan. That's the 2-minute warning. So the Rams need a score here. If the Rams can get a score and a conversion, 14-8 would be that would be a steal for this half of football.
They would 100% go in at 14-8. They would take that right now. It's not going to get better than that.
1st and 10, drops back, looks left again on the out.
Oh,
and
that
who's
is
there?
A great fit tackle. So number 60, the strong safety we were
Freddie
talking
McCauley.
about. Freddie McCauley, but also that near pec, near shoulder contact with a great high wrap, high cloth. And Sabelli just comes in at the hip level and just says, absolutely not. You're not spinning out of this, you're not rolling out of this. So 2-man fit tackle, beautiful.
So we had slants on the outside and a quick out underneath it, try to get a rub, see if the cornerback will be lazy and following the man on the inside.
They both played the slant. They said, you're not scoring this play. They'll let you throw the underneath and we'll come up and tackle you.
So fumble!
Good reaction
gives
to fall
it
on it.
Well, was that a veer or was that just a straight handoff? It didn't appear to me that the QB was reading anything.
I think they're going with what you call triple give. Okay, so they're saying everything looks like triple, but rather than the wing back arcing to the next level, they're doubling the give key. And they're just running it behind him.
And
they're making it look like triple. They want the linebackers to flow over. They want the safety to go into the alley. But actually, they're just doubling the near end and just getting in behind it.
We're in 4-down territory. It's 3rd and 4.5. So the offense is still in good shape.
Yeah, absolutely. But they've not taken the time out here.
They're trying to play it canny. Yeah, they're trying to run the clock out while scoring. And you're right. They're playing a dangerous game. Drops back, looks right, throws it underneath. He's got a man, makes one miss. And who's there? Number 3, Ducey Burwell. Throws him out of bounds. Put a move on, I think, number 5, Josh Penny in the open field.
Josh is going there trying to recreate his hit, but he was a bit out of control there, to be honest.
I was chatting to Josh before the game saying, as him being DC and getting very few reps, how would that affect him being rusty now? Being rusty, and it takes you a few
and
quarters of
he's
football
got a
to
big
get
summer
back in.
coming, because I believe he's in the GB squad.
Right.
So playing in this is a big time to get some reps under his feet.
So we've got a good cushion on the right hand side.
Sharp. But it's this wing over formation again.
Yeah.
With a big
Pitch
toss.
left.
And Josh makes up for it.
That's a nice move.
Yeah, Josh Payne makes up for it there. He sheds extremely difficult, extremely hard. Kymar comes and blocks him. Stewart puts his hands on him.
I mean, he's got to do that, because he chopped him down for only a 5-yard gain,
Yeah.
but he was going to take the ball quite a bit further there.
But
And
what was really interesting was we had him at cornerback making a tackle on a hitch. All of a sudden they go wing over, and now he's playing strong safety. It looks like there has been a bit of a switch. It looks like number 60's left the field. And who's on that far side at corner?
Number 20, that is Thomas McKean.
So Thomas McKean comes into the game.
And he was lined up pretty deep against number 80, who's a big target. So 2nd and 4.
Now, Thomas McKean's not really a name that I recognise too well. I do know that someone who sort of finished for the summer at the Birmingham Lions, that great programme coached down there by Greg Freeman, has come in. And his sort of stance makes me think.
So drops back, looks right again, same play, throws, and it's underthrown.
And this time, Josh Penny gives him the footsteps, doesn't he? He makes sure he stamps nice and hard to say.
Kymar Stewart was the intended receiver, and
he's
not going to drop the ball through intimidation. It was underthrown, but I think it's always nice to let them know.
I think he's letting him know that if you would have caught it, I would have hit you.
Yeah,
real hard.
Always nice to let them know. But he's had a good game so far, Kymar Stewart, but the QB just couldn't quite get it there. But it's good intent. It was a nice play. It should have been a high percentage completion pass.
I mean, when you're one of these bend and break defenses and you're giving up the flat, the problem with it is when you get to this sort of red zone, and not just the 20, but when you get to about the 15-yard line, there's no flat anymore.
Yeah.
And
so
everything's
3rd and
compressed.
4, drops back, rolls right, looks left. And he's flushed out. He looks downfield for the corner, back of the end zone, and it was a nice intent. He put it to the very back of the end zone.
I believe was Josh Tucker rolling back the years again, and just from middle linebacker, he's also a backup guard, covers that deep in the end zone and bats it away. What a play, number 55.
So intended receiver was Chris Lawton, number 23. So here we have a field goal attempt. It's the first time we've seen them try to kick. Seem to be very high in their stances on the right-hand side. Nearly blocked, it sails wide right.
Sails wide. Yeah, and I don't know how long we're going to get here, and if the Vikings are just going to take the half.
I mean, we've seen a lot more passing from this team in this first half for the Rams offense than we would have expected.
It's very reminiscent of the second half against EKP. In the first half, they stuffed it up the A gaps, they stuffed it up the B gaps, got no change. And it was a tough, brutal, hard-nosed game. In the second half, they completed like 7 passes in a row. Loads of slants and outs. Loads of stuff downfield.
So that is the half.
And it's not been a bad performance, but they're in a difficult situation now. Half the game left, 14-0 down on the road. It's going to be hard to see this being anything other than a Vikings win, but we know that the Rams aren't going to give up.
We've seen good, with the exception of 2 explosive plays, one of them on offense and one of them for the Vikings defense. We've seen good defensive play from both these teams. Good special teams. Definitely give the Vikings the edge on the special teams today. The punts have put them in great
one
field
thing
position.
that both these teams do, and in fact, I think everybody in the north does really, is tackle well. Not maybe for impacts, but the number of form tackles, the number of fit shoulder tackles is fantastic.
Okay, so we're just going to check what's happening for this half. To a quick break now, and we'll join you soon.
Deucey Burwell Jr.
Yeah, Deucey Burwell Jr.
I understand today is a significant day for you.
It's my birthday, yeah.
Happy birthday. How many?
Thank you. 26.
26.
26 years.
Good. A wise old head.
Yeah, I'm getting there.
You got a few to catch me up yet?
Yeah.
Okay, so you've now moved to Newcastle, I understand.
Yeah, recently just moved over to Newcastle.
And
nice city.
how does it compare to California?
California? I was in a small city over in California, Northern California.
Okay.
But Newcastle, it's a nightlife city. I like it. It's a busy city. A lot of students, a lot of young people. I'm not really a nightlife guy, but I mean, I like the vibe out there. It's nice.
Yeah, there's a lot of people come for stag and hen parties, so it's certainly the in place to be if you like to go out.
Yeah.
Okay, so back to football. You've been at the Vikings now for 6-7 games.
Yeah.
I think you missed the first 2 or maybe 3.
Yeah.
How are you finding things?
I love it, man. I love the guys. I love the coaches, the program. You know, I'm glad to be a part of it. Really.
Anything stand out particularly? I mean, you've come and played the game in the States for many years. What's the substantial differences? Are there many differences?
Still a lot of guys learning. You know what I'm saying? And you know, it's not elite, but it's still progressing. You know, so you got older guys and you got younger guys still learning the game, still getting better. Whereas in the States, sometimes, you know, it's very fast-paced, high game speed. So it's just adjusting and getting used to it. That's all.
Anybody stood out in any of the teams you played, or in the Vikings particularly?
Not necessarily against the teams we played, but I mean, we got some guys like Connor, our safety, you know, real good safety, real good football player. Yeah. And then, you know, we got some D linemen in there, real good on the line. And then our running back Johnny, he's stood out to me. You know, he's a hard worker. Yeah. He gets in, he comes to practice, and he does his job. You know, so.
Yeah, he's a superb athlete, isn't he?
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah.
He got me the other day in practice in one-on-ones. You know, I had to give him a pat on the back. Yeah,
okay.
He got me.
Okay. Yeah. You got the badge, did he?
Yeah.
Good. Well, you know, it's different in practice, isn't it? But you know, practice hard, play hard. That's the way. Yeah. So today's game, anything particular stand out for you? You gonna do anything different? Or?
No, man. I'm not gonna do nothing different. I'm gonna go out there. I'm gonna play hard. I'm gonna hit hard. You know, that's the game plan every time. So watching film. You know, some similarities when I played at Durham, I noticed that they run in the offense like Leeds, you know. And
it's the same head coach.
Yeah, so I could see that watching film, so I'm going to take my game plan going into Leeds and take it into this game. Play downhill, play hard, you know. That's the game plan.
Okay, good. Well, we'll save the birthday cake till after the game, if that's okay.
Thank you, man.
Thank you, Ducey.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
Thousands of businesses who have taken out a fast, affordable funding circle loan and helped your business fly.
Traveling this holiday season, you are going to want to get this, guys. Check this out. This is the homing pin. 1%. Now, this seems like a low number to me. 1% of all bags carried by airlines are misplaced. That seems really low. Anyway, yeah, exactly, right. For a family of 5 traveling twice a year means 20% chance of losing your bags.
Now, Homing Pin provides travelers with baggage loops with tags, key rings, and stickers that have a unique tracking number. Homing Pin labels can also be attached to cell phones, laptops, cameras, and passports.
That's right. You can get a 15-piece standard pack for $20 or a 5-piece starter pack for only $10 at homingpin.com. Now, we spoke about this a couple weeks ago with our tech expert, Nika Allen. So if you want to get a recap on that as well, head over to casa.com. But really, really great stuff because it will locate, regardless of where it is, it will locate your bag. So you don't have to rely on the airline saying, well, we don't know where your bag is. You can say, you know what, I'm going to do you one better. Right here, I can tell.
I can tell. Can you imagine though, like flying into the Sunport and be like, my bag is in Miami?
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome.
Traveling this holiday season, you are going to want to get this, guys. Check this out. This is the Homing Pin. 1%. Now, this seems like a low number to me. 1% of all bags carried by airlines are misplaced. That seems really low. Anyway, yeah, exactly right. For a family of 5 traveling twice a year means 20% chance of losing your bags.
Now, Homing Pin provides travelers with baggage loops with tags, key rings, and stickers that have a unique tracking number. Homing Pin labels can also be attached to cell phones, laptops, cameras, and passports.
That's right. You can get a 15-piece standard pack for $20 or a 5-piece starter pack for only $10 at homingpin.com. Now, we spoke about this a couple weeks ago with our tech expert, Nika Allen. So if you want to get a recap on that as well, head over to casa.com. But really, really...
thousands of businesses who have taken out a fast, affordable funding circle loan and helped your business fly.
Okay, so we're going to be back with the game in a few moments. Just catch up on some mostly full-time scores now, because this is a later kick-off. In the Prem North, as you can see, Manchester beating Sheffield. Sheffield were ahead in that game. They were 28-21 up, I think, at one point. And a pretty sound result there for Merseyside, spanking Leicester. So the race behind Tamworth is still there. There's still 3 teams in the hunt. Moving down to the Prem South, no real surprises there. Warriors beating Kent easily, although it was tight, I think, for about a quarter and a bit. And Olympians beating Bristol. Into the division that we're in now, we've got 14-0 half-time here. This morning we had EKP beating Gateshead by quite a score, and Aberdeen winning at home at 28-3. I think that might be their first home win of the season. I may be wrong there. I know they lost a couple early doors. And then moving down to the NFC Midlands, Lancashire, that's not a full time yet, that's still going on, so 28-14 currently. And Doncaster again getting beaten heavy by Nottingham Caesars. So NFC South, that still leaves Lancashire, Nottingham and Shropshire in the hunt. That'll be an interesting division over the next couple of weeks. Moving down south, Sussex Thunder win again. We saw them win last week at Hertfordshire, and coming good against Portsmouth. I think if they win out the rest of the games, I think they go above Hertfordshire, although I stand to be corrected. Hertfordshire eventually beating Berkshire. They were behind in that game. And Solent easily winning over Oxford. Moving into the southeast, we haven't got a score there unless it's I think it says quarter one. Colchester and Ouse Valley still 0-0, and Wembley and London. If anyone knows the scores on that, let us know. NFC Central was walkover. Furness forfeiting that game against Leeds. In the south, Bulls once again dominant. They won the NFC 2 title, and I think they're probably going to be the number 1 ranked team going into the Div 2 playoffs. The final, incidentally, will be held here at Druids Park on September the 7th. The game has been moved now to the Saturday. It was originally going to be the Sunday, but because of the Great North Run, it was difficult for people to get accommodation and what have you, so BAFRA have moved that now to the 7th. Bristol Apache and Somerset, full-time Somerset squeezing out there 19-10, and South Wales and Torbay still not quite finished. That's in the third quarter, and the local rivals in the southeast, Norwich 27, Ipswich 21. So that's a summary of the scores. We're going to be getting back to the game soon.
Got a bit more to do, Mick. They're trailing 14-0. We've still got a whole half of football, and we know they can move the ball, provided they don't make mistakes on offence.
The game's not over at two scores, is
well,
it?
Their defence has played well. Their defence has only given up one big play score, and other than that, they've been sound. obviously their offense has hurt them because they've not managed to score, and also they've given away a pick six, one of 4 interceptions in the first half. Now they're only trailing by 2 scores, and they've turned the ball over 4 times. They've also been stopped a couple of times on 4th down. So they're still in with a shout here, but they've got to start executing on offense.
So do you just stop throwing it then, Coach, or do you keep throwing it?
You don't stop throwing it. You don't ever stop doing anything. You might change your what you try and beat the defence with. You still have to have enough of a threat of throwing it that the Vikings defence put a secondary back.
Yeah.
So the Rams get the ball back. They'll be happy with that in the second half. So it's quite high and short. And that's beautiful coverage on the kickoff by Vikings. There was absolutely nowhere for the returner to go there. Sat up, they had some blocks, but everybody kept in the lanes and in the end brought down by 2 or 3 defenders.
Yeah, the special teams was an area in the first game where Vikings, quite frankly, were terrible.
And you can't afford to do that. It's a third of the game.
Yeah.
I mean, a punt is the most played play in any game of football, so you need to win special teams, and that way you can draw on either side and still take the game. I've lost a Div 1 final on special teams. I was starting running back, ran the ball 275 yards in the game, and we lost. Special teams.
Yeah. It's important, isn't it? Okay, we're back now.
So pressure from Tucker straight away. Number 57, Dick Carr, was there. We saw 2 of the Vikings second-level defenders before the snap surge forward towards that motion side, and 57. That's the first time we've really called his name in this game so far.
It's Dick Carr, the guy who weighs the same as me, the 19 stone.
But I'm talking about in his playmaking.
Yeah, he's been
55 Tucker and 57 Dick Carr were coming forward on the snap of the ball there.
And it was really nice to see up close, because that happened right in front of us, how violent the contact was. So here we are, we're lined up with this wing over formation to the far side, and it's a toss that way.
It's got some space.
And Ducey Burwell tracks him hard from the inside.
He did, but not before he's picked up enough for either very close to or a first down.
They got to turn the corner there, and actually, the overhang player, if they're going to be that far and that wide, they've got to do a better job of beating the wing. That time the wing, Kymar Stewart, made a great block on the overhang, and Ducey had a lot of space to catch up.
Yeah. So it brings up 3rd and short.
And actually, it looks like the Vikings have instantly made a change and put Josh Penny out there now. So we're back in the flex bone, extremely wide.
Okay, showing pressure from Vikings, and we have that is a drive killer.
Yeah, but it's a good point in match as well. The D lineman went, but the O lineman went.
In this offense, Jonathan, you cannot give away offensive penalties.
Not on 3rd and 1 for sure. And yeah, the calm nature of the referees makes me think this is just going to be a false start on 3rd and 6. Because this is one of those ones where they say,
oh, it's waved. So we had a timeout called prior to the snap. We think it would have probably gone against the offense. So
yeah, and what I'm guessing is that the offensive player went on the tee of timeout. You know.
Yeah.
Ready, set, timeout. You know.
So we've had a change. Number 73's off. He's a big unit, number 73 for the Rams. Absolutely. Nick Kozina.
Yeah, it's a great football name as well.
You expect him to play for the Philadelphia Eagles with a name like that, don't you?
In like 1976.
Yeah.
Who'd you play for? The Eagles. 76.
Dad works in a steel mill.
He works in a steel mill 4 days of the week. But yeah, Nick Kozina, what a great name. And here we see Winrow splitting out again. He could only be 4 or 5 yards from the sideline, but Sabelli's 8 or 9 yards from the sideline.
But most importantly, he's got inside. So, yeah. I mean, he's given up a fade there, but I don't think this quarterback has the arm strength for a fade. He's tried it once, and it was a pick.
I don't think he's worried about the speed game either. I don't think. I think he feels he's got the foot speed for that. But it's been heavy run this way when it's been this wide.
Motion left,
wing on,
pitch left, and number 5 misses. Number 3, Ducey Burwell doesn't. Oh.
Yeah. And so the running back isn't happy because
I think what happened was it wasn't the initial hit; it's the fact he slammed him on the turf afterwards.
And his head slammed off the turf. And the thing is,
so number 13 gets up slowly. Luke Campbell. He's walking back to the huddle.
Luke is he's the same in the EKP game. He's 1,000 mile an hour.
He's going to sub him out, give him a little break. Number 38 on
his
instead.
Head snaps off the turf a little bit there, and he's
Rio Irvin.
He's obviously annoyed about that as well. But you've got to also check, although he just.
Well, there was nothing dirty about it. It was just.
No, it's just unfortunate that your head hits the turf, but you can see him getting exasperated by it.
Now, I called out Josh Penny for missing there, but that's not true. He just forced him inside.
Yeah.
Because that was no gain on the play there.
And if you're going to do that, you've got to make the running back stop the feet a little bit.
Gives it on the fullback, and it's immediately by Josh Tucker. And number 1, Paul Richardson, finishes it off.
Yeah. And you could see Tucker instantly, once he'd stopped the guy's momentum, went for the ball strike.
Yeah. And what that tends to do is it stops those running backs driving for that extra yard or two after contact, because they've got to immediately think about ball security. If somebody's yanking at that ball, you stop moving your feet and you put all your energy onto securing it.
Dick Carter Bus,
so
he's unbelievable at doing it. Tucker's trying to get in on the act. You know, Burwell's going to force some just because he hits you hard. Again, Winrow's 2 yards from the sideline here.
These middle linebackers are now a lot closer to the line of scrimmage. Drops back, looks right. Oh.
Good doing there. One thing I do really like about this Vikings defense is after the last play there was a huge sort of inquisition. Someone looked like they were lined up half a shade wrong, and they're getting hit on the shoulder pad, they're getting yelled at. All the guys are prime that nobody's making a mistake here.
So number 32 for the Rams, Connor Robson, was the intended target. I think we had a slant on the outside and that quick out underneath. You're trying to put the outside linebacker under duress. You're trying to tempt him with a slant. If he doesn't, if he comes up underneath, you throw the slant behind him.
And when the QB's thrown it to his left, he's been pretty good. When he's thrown it to his right, they've both gone down.
Say 3rd and 10, drops back, looks underneath. Rolls right, throws over the top. That's intelligent play. Ooh! I was going to say, if you loft that up there, you're expecting the free safety to come over.
And that is Connor Joyce. And unfortunately, Kymar Stewart has stayed down. And
that is known in the trade, Jonathan, as a hospital pass for a reason.
Yeah, and it's that soft looping wheel. So it's slant flat. The slant brings the corner back inside. You're already out there, wheel over. Maybe it's just scramble drill. Maybe it was called. Connor Joyce read it 100%
I think he scrambled there and the receiver broke downfield, but he just lofted it far too high and slow. The free safety came over the top. And it's one of those things when you're fully stretched for the football, when you get hit, all those ribs are exposed, you can't sort of tense against it.
Now there's no flag on the play. The referees are having a discussion, but...
Oh, it was a clean hit. And that will be a big loss for this Rams offense if they lose number 17, because we've seen he can make things happen if you give him half a yard.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. This is a well-natured play game. A couple of weeks ago when these guys played, it was a little bit chippier, a little edgier, but okay, there's a lot of concern for Kymar, who's stayed down here. But the O-line and the D-line are chatting to each other, extremely well-natured. Now, for some reason, the Rams look like they're lining up, but the player's still down on the field. I mean, the good news is that Kymar was moving when the sort of after the hit for a little bit. I think he's been told to sort of stabilise by the medic. And he's now up under his own power. That's absolutely what we want to see. And he's had a good game so far. He's had a couple of good returns, a couple of targets, a few good blocks.
You get a feel he could be a difference maker if he's given a chance.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Aberdeen had a convincing display against the Glasgow Tigers today. And we also saw EKP pull away from the Gateshead Senators after a reasonably close first half pull away. I mean, we've still got time in this game for Rams to start doing something, but at the moment, So that's a pretty good ball towards the corner. He definitely aimed for the corner, number 13.
He made great contact.
Luke Campbell.
There was a booming sound as it came off his foot. Unfortunately, the ball just didn't spiral. It kind of hung. It was sort of hit dead. And it means that it looks to be about the 26, 20, 25, maybe the 23.
So over half-time then, the Vikings offence, other than one explosive play, I mean, they have picked up first downs, but they've not looked consistent over a drive. What have they got to do in this second half?
A couple of offensive plays. They just did a couple of explosive plays, but they didn't go for touchdowns. We had Dion vertical down the far sideline. That was a 40-yard.
So what do they need to do this half to be more successful?
I think it's up front. They need to play with a little bit more vigour. The O-line
So got a
needs to sustain the
30
blocks.
front with a linebacker walk down.
It's Cowley stood up in a 2-point stance.
So gives.
I think it's because he believes he's reading the QB. This time, Henry pulls the ball, gets a decent sort of outside break, but the DBs come down really quick. And
I think number
nothing
40
doing there.
came at such a shallow angle, Adam Cowley, that when the QB pulled it, he had to run back and around.
And what we see here is the Vikings were in the pistol formation, which is a relatively new addition in the last few weeks.
Not a personal favourite of mine. I see the pistol as the worst of both worlds. You're not far enough away from the line of scrimmage that it gives you that sort of shotgun confidence, but with the chance of a fumbled snap.
Yeah, but it completely changes the angle for you.
Absolutely, but it's never been something I could get used to.
If you're against East Kilbride, he did struggle with middle pressure.
Keeps it again. And once again, he's flushed wide.
But for no real gain. In fact, a 2-yard loss this time. Yeah, the pistol's one of those things where if you're getting real interior pressure from D tackles, as East Kilbride did, it's a way that you can get into your stretch, your off-tackle game, without your D tackles ever really being an influence. Or at least as long as you've got a parity block in the middle, you're okay. Whereas when you've got that cross-face shotgun, any sort of interior pressure is going to at least make the running back very nervous.
So we've got 3rd and 12, trips right.
And they've got, see, look at the strong safety on the far side. He looked like he was coming up. He's just checked Dion. He's gone.
Drops back, looks left, but he's flushed out straight away. He's keeping it.
Easily have it here.
And
he slid early.
Well, you say slid early. He wasn't going to pick up the first down by going into contact.
Well,
the guys he was coming up against had a clear physical mismatch on him. Do you want your quarterback to run in and get crocked in the third quarter? For me, the business decision was correct there. If he'd have been a bigger, stronger guy, perhaps, but
he's a very, very quick guy, and
I know. But number 4 in this Rams defense, you just know he's going to put a hit on him. It's quite a bigger guy.
Like, it's one of these situations we were talking about with Kaimar earlier, where he might not miss, but he might make him half miss, and then you might spin out of it and I don't know. I think he could have pushed it a little closer, even if he's sliding. But I also like to think that if he makes a move, maybe a Vikings receiver can get back and throw a block. Now, the punt's coming this way, so he should probably step back
high
a bit.
snap. It's a good rush. He gets it away. Great chase from number 1, Paul Richardson.
And it takes a real Vikings.
And 23, what is he doing picking it up there?
This is going to be a 15-yarder on Paul.
Well, number 1, 23 had no business fielding the ball under pressure.
I think he was.
I
think all he was doing was stopping the bounce.
Yeah.
He kneels down, he stops the bounce.
But number 1, Paul Richardson, I'm complimenting him, a great effort on the rush, great tracking. I mean, he fielded the ball at the 20-yard line. That is an amazing special teams play, and you're going to give them 15 yards.
But I think he's. What?
Now, despite the flag, it's still going to give them reasonable field position.
I said a few minutes ago it was all jovial.
Yeah.
And now it's getting a little bit chippy because of that. I think what's going through Paul's head is his knee down?
Is he going to pick it up and he's going to run with it?
Am I too close that I can't guarantee he's kneeled down? And if he springs up for a touchdown, I'm going to look like a lemon.
Yeah.
So he hits him. But unfortunately, the guy
had his knee down.
He was 100% knee down. Also out of bounds.
But a great kick and chase. pinned them back. So yes, it is 15 yards. It advances them to the 35-yard line.
The ball bounced about 25 yards.
Yeah.
So overall, this is a good punt, a good change in field position. The good news for number 1, Paul Richardson, is that it was a personal foul. It wasn't seen as unsporting or anything like that.
Still got 2 in the bag.
Yeah, which he probably needs.
Which he might need. Okay, great penetration from the defensive tackles off that Vikings line. Yeah, but I think that came from, there was a great surge on the backside from D-tackle. That might even be Paul Richardson. He got instant penetration.
And it was this give play again where the wings fold in on somebody. I'm not sure if they were in the 50 from there and Dick Carr had come down to be the D end who gets the double.
Right.
But one thing you'll notice, Matt Dyke's the tallest player on the field here, and he used his long levers extremely well.
If you're going to run a flex bone offense, you cannot have your offensive lineman going backwards on the snap.
No, absolutely. And if the DM makes a tackle, the QB's got to be wrong.
Drops back, looks left. It's intended for number 23, Chris Lawton, but once again the QB throws it slightly too short. Number 99, we've seen him attempt that pass a number of times, and a number of times he's come up short.
That's because he's not setting his feet. We've seen the
Well,
ball.
I think he's thrown on the roll, Jonathan. I'm going to go against you and say it's because he's not keeping his hips high and following through.
Well, I don't think that was actually a rollout, though. I just don't think I think that the pressure from Matt Dyke, he had his hand
So you
up
think
in
he
the
was
passing
forced out? He should have set up and thrown.
I think he just threw it too early. I don't think he was getting sacked. I just don't think he believed he had enough time, because Matt's a very
Pressure
long
from
player.
Burwell, front side.
And the QB goes inside very nicely and picks it up.
Oh. We saw Burwell on a blitz, timed it perfectly, came through and forced the QB back underneath.
Well, really fortunate. It looked like it was a QBA gap.
If he'd have pitched it there was a good chance that he could have got his hand to it, and it's a fumble.
Yeah, absolutely. If you catch a pitch, is it an interception? If it's backwards?
If it's a pass, it's an interception.
If it's a backwards one? I don't know. Is it a fumble? It's a good snap. The punt's
good
gonna
rush.
get off.
Number 5 again, Josh Penny was there. We've seen him already this season.
Yeah, and actually...
And once again, another great punt. Gives the Rams good field position.
I don't know what's going through his head, because it looked to me like it was blocked. But I think he just pulled up.
I think number 5, Josh Penny, was showing a lack of cardio on that play.
Brutal. That's absolutely brutal.
I mean, if he'd been on the Stairmaster a few more times, he might have just got there.
If any Great Britain coaches are watching, I don't think you should believe Craig. I believe he works very hard on his cardio. But no, it was one of these situations where when you've had the 15-yarder in the first quarter on the missed block punt, he looked like he was there really quick and then just didn't lie out for it. But this punt again took a huge
I mean, that is a
bounce.
great special teams play. Their own 8-yard line.
Punters love this turf though, don't they? Because sometimes it stops dead, sometimes it takes a 90-degree bounce, and sometimes it adds 25 yards to your punt.
So, a narrower formation with a tight end on the right-hand side, a slot on the left.
It's actually quite interesting. It took Cowley quite a long time to get into his stance. He had to adjust from
Motion
a 5
right
tech to what looks like a 7 tech. Big
Gives
stretch.
right on a stretch. He's got a block as well. Cuts back.
And that's really nice.
That
really
is
nice change up, because they put the tight end for the first time in. They get a pancake from the slot. It looked like it was a tray formation because Shot
because you
was over at
motioned in the
receiver.
tray.
Jordan Matthews was in the slot, number 14.
But
Ross
the thing is
Carlyle
there,
was the tight
Jonathan,
end.
yes, the formation, but they got some great blocks play side.
They did, and they managed to slow Cowley down. 2x2, 3x1, Cowley's been in a 2-point stance causing havoc. Okay, against the tight end.
He's in a 3.
He's in a 3. And now he's gone back into a 3 here again, and they've gone back to
It's a motion from the outside receiver with a slot on the line, gives it left.
Stretch left.
And he's got space again. Picks up enough for the first. He's still going. He picks up a block downfield to the 20.
Great.
And he's brought down.
There.
Apologies to the 30. He's finally dragged down at about the 25-yard line.
Now, unfortunately, still to get up, but it's your boy number 73. Okay.
Nick Kozina, defensive lineman, chases the play down.
Nick Kozina is the biggest man on the field right now, and unfortunately he's going to get subbed off here, but he ran it down. I was lucky enough to share the sort of metro ride here with Johnny.
Are we going to call him Nicky Kozina from now on?
Maybe.
If he's from Philadelphia.
And Johnny was extremely relaxed. He got married last 2 weeks ago. His honeymoon, extremely relaxed and up for this game. A huge run.
Throws underneath. Oh.
Great target.
Number 41 gambles on the pick, comes up short.
A turnaround. Brilliant drive. We've got tight end, stretch right, stretch left. Huge play from Johnny. They commit a couple of extra players to the box. You get shot on one-on-one, hitch, breaks one tackle.
Yeah, well, the
gone.
thing is, though, there, number 41 went for either the interception or the big hit. He did not break down, and one move, it was bounced out. And that's what we were saying before the game. This could come down to one missed tackle.
Yeah.
When you're talking about teams that are evenly matched. One guy misses, everybody else does what they're supposed to, and it's a touchdown.
And you know when
so
you've got-
2 plays.
Yeah, well, not 2 plays. Come on, that was all 3 plays. That drive were excellent.
Yes.
All 3 plays were excellent.
It's a fake. He's looking right. He's got space. He's going for it. Picks up a big block. Number 89 on number 5. He springs back up. But number 89, whoa, that is a big hit. Ross Conley. And I think we have a flag after the play. It's good to see number 5 pop straight back up. Charlie Goff.
It's number 74, Howard Snaith with the unsportsmanlike. It's good, Howard. And he's going to get ejected.
And we have a second flag.
Now this is real bad news. He's going to get ejected here. Unfortunately, this has turned really ugly. Now Charlie Goff is an unbelievable football player. He is running full speed. He gets a big block from 89 Ross Conlon, who hits him extremely hard. He does pop straight back up because he's a hell of a tough kid.
Yep.
There's some after. Yeah.
So 74 has 2 fouls against him. By rule, he's ejected.
And that is a really disappointing state of affairs.
That's ejected for letting your mouth run twice. You've picked up a flag. What are you going to do arguing it the second
Vikings
time?
Next game?
How do you help your team there?
Well, who's the Vikings next game?
Well, is it an important one?
Is it East Kilbride?
Is it for the division title
Yeah,
if
you've
this
not
game?
got your right tackle. So it's now.
I'm getting emotionally invested here, Jonathan, and I'm a neutral commentator.
Yeah.
But I'm also a coach.
Well, It's really. People have mentioned bias on this, and it's really difficult. The Vikings are a forward-thinking organisation that have put Vikings TV together and asked us to do this because we have an ongoing relationship with the club. Howard Snaith, number 74, he's coming to my wedding in a couple of months. He's,
Up until 2 minutes ago.
No,
I'm joking, Jonathan. I'm joking.
But, we went to the pub this week just to have a few pints because our other halves were busy. He is a close friend, and it's disappointing to see that there. Great response. Coach O'Regan's got him in, reading everybody else the riot act. Usually you see this sort of thing from Paul Richardson. Okay, Howard Snaith has made a mistake here. One thing I really don't like to see, and I am going to call it out, and I know we've been extremely positive about it. I do not think Howard Snaith was in any way, shape or form right. But the referee, when he threw the second flag, was walking towards him, going, "Go on, say something," and then said, "That's it, that's enough."
Yeah, you think tempers have run a bit high on both sides?
Tempers have run both sides, but also within one of the referees' crew as well, and you can't do that. I mean, you can't do that either way, and it's a really, really tough one. Howard Snaith, 100% wrong. Okay, it's disrespectful to Charlie Goff, who's had a huge hit, has been a great player, is a great player, has bounced up. It was, when we said it was a really nice atmosphere before, when Paul did the hit and he was talking,
took that little bit of a turn.
Charlie Goff came on the field and I heard him shout to him, "Shut your lips."
Yeah.
The backbiting started, and now there's been a hit, a blow delivered, even more starts. But unfortunately, the ref crew's got involved with it as well.
So also, as well as the ejection, we've got to take the kickoff.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we're going to get a good return here. Number 13's game as well.
It's a great, easy tackle.
It's
number 20.
I mean, it's a reasonable return, but it's up to the Vikings' 40-yard line.
It is, yeah. And I'll tell you what, as long as Charlie Goff's 100% fit, I'd be putting him in at fullback right now. That kid can bang.
So we're getting to the stage now, Jonathan. The Rams offense has to do something and get some points on the board.
They've got a great field position here. But we're going to see, the next flag that happens is going to be really important. If it's the Vikings for a discipline issue, this could get ugly quick. If it's anything it's
fumble. QB makes a nice spin move and picks up a few yards. I think we had the defensive lineman or linebacker jump for the Vikings, but got back before the snap.
Yeah, then the QB
fumbled it
and fumbled it, but then picked it up. Everyone was confused, and he got a couple of yard gain. But then Connor Joyce was running towards the end zone with the football. Let's just forget that play.
2nd and 8.
Just before it was the next penalty is going to be really interesting. If they have a drive killer. If they have a drive killer here...
Yeah, we're getting close to the 4th quarter then. 3 scores down.
If have another discipline penalty, give them a free first down.
Drops back, here. Looks left, throws it underneath.
Chris Lawton.
Oh!
And it is getting a bit spicy.
2.
I think it's a big hit from 23 as well, because all game 42's been breaking down form tackling. Chris Lawton, absolute veteran player, sprints back to the huddle and says, me again, give me the ball again. Lawton's known as a DB, a free safety.
So we've got 3rd and 3.
He's played up to and including GB level. He's a hell of a player. He had a testimonial last year. Decade of service to this club. He isn't going to pull out of any challenge.
So 3rd and 2. Late in the 3rd. And we've got a tight formation on the right with no wide receiver.
It's a give and it's swallowed up.
I mean, the thing about that, Jonathan, is they had that tight wing formation where they had numbers on the perimeter, but they still handed it up on that sort of B-gap veer play where they didn't have numbers. That's an unusual play call. Maybe they're trying to suck them in and pop it wide next play. I'm not sure. I mean, you've got to feel because the Vikings' defense was very narrow, and you had guys on the edge. Why did you not try and exploit that?
I just think that even though they had the numbers, they were really on the left hash, and they might have just felt they didn't have enough space. But here we go. Spread formation, spread under center.
Rolls right. It's looking, throws it. Oh. Did that hit his hands? Should he have caught that, Jonathan? I didn't quite see.
He should, because usually
he's looking
the DB
upset.
would be really excited about that play. But the DB came off looking sheepish, and the receiver's banging his own helmet. I think that's
and that was enough. That was enough for a first down as well.
The DB will claim on reflection. I did enough. I did enough. The ball wasn't caught on.
He wouldn't
on
claim that.
down.
He would not claim that in the tape session. He would claim that when nobody could see the tape.
Instagram story or something.
You just know he's not putting that up on Huddle saying I did enough here.
I think that is the player that's recently signed from the Birmingham Lions. Those guys aren't really like that. They're a fantastic organisation. He'll just be annoyed he didn't get his hand on the ball. So here we go. So Ross is slow to come on the field. Ross Conlon, 89. He's going in at tight right. We're in tray right. Ace right now. In ace right.
It's not a great start to the drive.
No, it's not. Maybe he came off that big hit worse than Charlie Goff did.
Inside hand, nothing doing.
Really interesting. The replacement for Howard Snaith is Robbie Brumpton. Mustangs head coach last year. DC of
today.
The day. Subbed into the
D-lineman
on the first few drives. As I've said a few times, used to be a cornerback.
He has mentioned previously that he has utility.
Yeah.
Do you think he's going to raise that same line again?
I absolutely think so. And you know what? I think I was too harsh on him earlier on the season. He is a guy that's got utility. He's got toughness. He went and blocked Charlie Goff extremely physically.
So give up the middle again and absolutely nothing doing again.
And that time Charlie Goff comes straight through and is playing hard. All it really looks like the Vikings have done so far against Charlie is rile him up, but rile him up in a way to play. Just really engage the Warrior. He's prowling around here pre-snap like he means business.
So trips right.
And this is probably one of the best things they can do. They've got Charlie Goff out the box here a little bit.
5-man rush.
The other linebacker
Throws it again, and the Rams play it perfectly, but he's...
Oh.
I was about to say the Rams play it perfectly. They had two guys, double coverage.
He had 2 shots at it,
And
though, didn't he?
even with that, he had an opportunity.
And I think that was...
I mean, by scheme, you should not be throwing that as the quarterback. That was double coverage. They read it all the way.
That was a substitution. I don't think that was Dion Feather. I think that was Simon... Is it Race? Is it 19, Simon Race?
Yes.
Yeah.
So brings on the punt team on 4th and 11.
The sun's coming out here, but it's only in the eyes of the punter. The returner will have a nice, clean look at this. It's a bad low.
Yeah,
snap.
it's low. He might
Great adjustment from
just
Shotton. Great.
23's got good pursuit. He fields it. Number 21's there again, Connor Joyce. We've not said his name a few times
Good safe tackle.
in this
Sorry,
half,
we're
but
destroying the field equipment with our wires, but never mind. It's not our problem. Yeah, great downfield kick coverage there. Now there's a flag here.
whereabouts? That will probably be some sort of...
It's going to be some sort of chat thing, but it doesn't seem extremely obvious. So we've got a flag, and it is the end of the quarter as well. So the first thing the referees are going to do is figure out the spot. Then we're going to get an assessment on this flag.
So number 4, James Hudson, unsportsmanlike conduct after the play for the Rams.
And there was no real altercation on the field. I didn't see it. The referee clearly heard a comment he didn't like, and he's thrown it out there. And they're obviously
That's going to be a half-distance one.
Yeah, but it is half distance. They're obviously saying, look, there was a big flare-up. There was a big incident.
They're just stamping on anything.
They're just stamping on it.
Yeah, fair enough.
Which is absolutely the right thing to do. We criticise.
Players just come and play the game, let the refs ref
one of the
it.
officials for his demeanour earlier, but actually the head ref Galloway, is it Gordon or George?
I'll just go get the names for you.
Definitely Galloway. Did a great job stamping it out, and he just says, none of this, let's play.
So as you say, head ref Gordon Galloway.
Gordon Galloway, yeah.
Got our umpire Mark Burrows, head linesman Frank McParlin, and line judge Ronnie Gaffin. So 4-man crew today.
Well known as Pebbles around the game, I think, for all those people watching.
So QB sneak, or did he give it there? Still going.
I don't know. It's a really positive play. It's 3 yards in a cloud of AstroTurf pellets, and
Rubber granules. Doesn't sound as good.
no, it doesn't. But hey, it's still as effective. In fact, it looks like 4 or 5, maybe even a 6-yard gain, and that's what the Rams are going to need.
Well, they've not really done that so far in this game.
No, so what are we? In the excitement of the verbals and the afters, didn't really update the score. So we're 22-0, is it? Vikings have scored once this half. They got the 2-pointer on the fake. That's a ground ball, again, quite fortunately, because Phil Sabelli had broken.
Was that a smash concept with a corner on the slot and a short hook on the outside?
Maybe. But Phil had broke on the ball real early. He was facing the play, good foot speed.
So 3rd and 4, 3rd and 4.5. Fourth quarter, 3 scores down.
Oh, a spin move. He's caught it past the sticks. That's a first down for Chris Wimrow. And there's a little bit of time between this play. I'm not sure there's a brief whistle. No, we're underway again. In interesting wing over formation. Looks like a midline. When you see that, when you see the QB's feet outside his frame, you know he's had to change direction extremely early. Looked like a fullback dive coupled with a QB inside keeper. So like a midline option from the wing over formation. Looked real good.
So it brings up 2nd and 10.
And obviously this has been a late kickoff, so most of the games in the country have gone. Have you managed to see a score sheet so far? Any big results stand out? And that play's strung out by the Vikings defence again.
Well, Merseyside Nighthawks 50, Leicester Falcons 0. Not a single point. And the Merseyside Nighthawks have not had a season they would probably have wanted. They've been in 3rd place a lot of the time, but that is a statement victory.
The teams around them have they've gone up and down. But the Nighthawks have kept playing the whole way. What's
3rd
really
and 10.
interesting? There's a pass coming here again. It's thrown way out of bounds. What's really interesting is that Titans Giants score. Now I hear that Brian Smith, who won the national championship with Leeds Carnegie, the talented NCAA receiver, has signed for the Giants, and that's given them a little bit more offensive output. But the Titans have put it on 49-30. But what a game for the neutrals!
Yeah. So let's go to the Prem South. London Warriors doing what London Warriors do. 73 and a nil afterwards.
Olympians 10-0 over the Aztecs.
That's a good win. The Olympians are still building.
The Roughnecks 28-3 over Glasgow. Huge game.
Yeah.
East Kilbride 53 over the Senators 14, to be expected really. Lancashire Wolverines still fighting in NFC 1. Midlands 28-14 over the Romans. That's a 3rd quarter lead. That's probably finished by now, but I wonder if they hold on. Caesars with a big win, 58-0.
Well, I think Doncaster Mustangs have had probably one of the worst seasons in a long time. They've struggled for numbers.
When your head coach transfers.
Coaching changes. They definitely need to step down to Div 2 and rebuild.
Yeah. Down in the south, we were lucky enough to see Sussex last week. They've won again, 28-13. The Cheetahs are winning against Berkshire 34-20, and the Thrashers dominant 44-7 in the 3rd quarter against the Oxford Saints. They look like they're going to top that division comfortably. Okay. Otherwise, across the board, not much to say about. This game is later, so you may have more up-to-date scores than us, but please let us know in the comments.
So we've got a tight end on the left. A new running back in.
It's Dan Sibbald. Now, Dan Sibbald was the guy we were calling for earlier, because earlier in
Gives
the
it
season,
left.
Yeah, it's a solid run for a couple of yards. Dan was a rookie last year, and he won Offensive Player of the Year, Offensive Rookie of the Year. He's had a hit and miss season so far, because the games really, when the Vikings needed him, unfortunately he wasn't available either through injury or holiday.
Right.
So it is nice to see him getting some carries now, because if they need him again, he needs to be as sharp as he was last season.
So we've not really mentioned the quarterback, number 17, Henry Bullman, today. Is he now firmly in as your starting quarterback for the remainder of the season?
Yeah, I believe so. Richie Howe was always the sort of answer to the problem that you had. The Vikings have got to a stage. Oh, that's an early whistle. But the Vikings have now got to a stage where maybe they've got rid of that problem. Henry's been playing QB for the Raiders for a few years. He's developed into this. Okay, he's been a bit hit and miss today, but he was very good against Glasgow last week.
Don't forget, though, when you talk about this Rams defense, you say hit and miss. This is a quality defense.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And he's put the ball in the right areas on the vertical game. He's got
Stack left
2 passing touchdowns
and Stack right. So new formation for the Vikings. So I think we're probably are we going to run the ball here because
the
Rams have put guys outside the box.
Should be a 6-man box, but it's a pass.
Blitzes, good pressure up the middle, throws it.
Oh, that's a great catch.
That is a beautiful catch and great coverage as well.
Like Lee, number 85.
Number 85 is Lee Davison.
So Lee Davison, that's a great catch for probably one of the top sort of 2 or 3 hardest working guys in the club, because he's actually sort of in the management
So I
team.
believe that was number 18, Ross Hammond, had really good coverage on him. Really good.
And Lee took his chance. He doesn't play as much. He spends most of the morning organising equipment, laying out the field. He's one of the management team here, and so for him to get on the field and get a real good catch is absolutely great for him.
Blitz again from Rams, flushed right. And the QB just...
Yeah, he never handled the initial snap. Then
sort of tried to sidearm it as he was running. He didn't run to his target. I tell you what, it's great commentating. You can just pick everybody else's faults and I feel like I'm the world's best quarterback. I can tell everybody what they're doing wrong. I just can't do it right myself.
Yeah, well, that's why we're here on the sideline. But yeah, he just never quite got the handle on the ball, and unfortunately he had to evade before he got it, so it was never seated correctly.
When the Rams got great pressure in the middle, at least 5, maybe 6. Oh.
Now that's, unfortunately, the running back doesn't look like he's done a great job there, because that was definitely a trap. The whole
number 94, Steve Goodwood, got great penetration.
Because it was a trap. So he got kicked out by the far side guard,
and, you thinking he didn't
the running back went outside that and just got whacked.
I'd like to see that. I think number 94.
I've seen both Ollie Monaghan, 51 left guard, and Matthew Carney, 72 enough to know that they intentionally let him through, and I believe that's the only play they've got where they'd let him through.
Brings up 3rd and long, flush right, he's looking downfield.
He's got shot and wide. Oh, and
the slightly underthrows
it. Up.
I'm saying slightly underthrows it. He was towards the back of the end zone. I think once again his decision and the time between his decision and throwing it was too long.
I think that's also about the length of his arm. He's got a pretty good arm, but it's not a giant one by any means.
But I'm saying if he'd have got that two strides earlier on the run,
and
it would have still hit the back of the end zone.
You don't need to wait for Jacob to be open. If he's even, he's leaving. So if in the first...
Sorry, Jonathan, I'm going to have to pull you up there. If he's even, he's leaving.
Yeah, absolutely. Take that one for free. Look at the cushion.
4th and long.
Look at the cushion that Jacob Shotton's got on that far side. It's 9 yards. If that evaporates in the first second of the play, he's about to be open. Okay, he's not open, but he's about to be.
Yep.
And if QBs aren't making those sort of reads, then you're not gonna get many plays.
Yep.
You very rarely throw the ball when someone's open. You throw the ball when he's about to be open.
And this Rams secondary are being disciplined.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
So you're not going to get a look pre-snap that shows you that something's on. You've got to trust that you know the guy's going to get open on that particular route.
For young QBs out there, when you're reading a wide out on a vertical route, if there's a 9-yard cushion at the snap and there's a 5-yard cushion the first moment the snap starts,
it's collapsing in a hurry.
Then there's no cushion. It's about to be a 5-yard cushion the other way.
Yep.
And you have to throw that as the
So the Rams get another bite of the cherry early in the 4th, trailing by 3.
And the QB
keeps it this time.
Again, looks sort of midliney, maybe QB power.
Well, again, 7 or 8 on it last drive.
But again, early on you were saying, you've got to get ahead of the chains, and you're absolutely right. And they're kind of doing it. It's a 3-yard gain.
And we're now in 4-down territory, so they only need 2.5 yards a carry.
We're also 3 scores behind.
Yeah.
Which means that, the best play.
So we've got twins right. In fact, we've gone spread. Still under centre. Is this a new QB?
It looks like it, yeah.
Throws out number 23. So it's number 23's in at QB.
So that's Chris Lawton.
Chris Lawton. Intended receiver was number 32, Connor Robson. Hit his hands. He was at full stretch. He's not the tallest, so he could have brought that down.
It was overthrown though. The only reason it hit his hands is because he leaped up to the absolute limit of his range.
So a new QB in the 4th. Gone to spread as well. New formation. We're trying something different.
They're back into the flex. One of the great things about the flex is it's literally the width of your wing backs to go to the spread or not. It still presents that 4 vertical.
So keeps it again. And this time it's met with much stiffer opposition. Number 57 and number 55. So that's Dick Carr and Josh Tucker on the stop.
Yeah. And
That's not a tandem of linebackers you want to try run through.
No, they are thick
I mean, they've
boys.
got some weight behind them.
Thick
They had
crew.
the shoulders square. You're not going to bust something there.
No.
So 4th and 6. Let's see what stage of the game we are. We're bringing out the punt team.
And that was a really interesting situation. Like,
I mean, we're near the halfway line, Jonathan. We're in the 4th and 3 scores down. Why are we putting the ball now? Maybe.
Not this one.
So Shunts at left. That's a great chase. 5 Rams chasing it. Well, it shows you what I know, Jonathan. I'm talking about going on 4th down. They pin them back on about their own, 5 or 4 yard line?
Yeah, I mean, look, this game's pretty much over. The season's pretty much over. Chris Lawton is like a former international free safety, strong safety. He's in at QB because the team, the Rams, know that there's no way that Chris Lawton will ever let the club down because he's a warrior. But he's not the first choice, he's not the second choice, he's not the third choice. He's kind of playing in the 4th quarter of the end of a game, you know. So maybe it's just a case of let's punt, let's play defense, because maybe the defense has got a better chance of scoring from here than their offense has from midfield. Beautiful evening here though on the Costa del Newcastle. Great sunshine. Got the shades on.
Stack formation, single back in the pistol.
They got that 6-man box that they want, but
backside, outside linebacker blitzes.
Oh,
throws underneath
lovely
number 19.
pass.
That's a lovely catch.
Simon Race with a grab.
So all we did there, we went from stack, and it was 4 verts with the.
Yeah, it was a really nice
the lead
play
guys
design.
not even doing a slant, just doing a straight.
It might have been a slant, but it's one of these things where you're taught to go as skinny as possible. And because they stacked, the defenders stacked, so you only had to break at an angle of 10 degrees to win inside. And that's clutch under your own goal line. From snapping the ball on your 5-yard line.
That's a 20-yard gain.
20-yard game, beautiful. Simon Race doing a great job.
Tight ended again. Motion right. We've got stretch right. Makes one cut. That is lovely play from the running back. Is that number 44 is in?
Oh yeah, and I believe
Matthew Thompson.
I believe he's one of the guys that came over from the Sentinels in the mid-season.
No, from the Raiders, Newcastle
Oh,
Raiders.
is he the guy they were saying he signed at deadline?
Yeah, he played junior football, I think, at Chorley.
Right. Okay, so it's
Came
a
from
Chorley
the-
Buccaneer. Wow.
Yeah, so he
he
played with Henry and Matt Dyke at the Raiders last
Newcastle
season.
boys have convinced him to finish out the season. That's good because he's just shown a little bit of flash there, a little bit of impact.
He had a really good low centre of gravity. He kept his weight
And
over
he's
his.
also wearing the naughtiest number in the game.
He's
44.
got an arm sleeve on, Jonathan. You've got to live up to a lot with an arm sleeve.
I'm not a fan of the shooting sleeve, but I am a fan of the 44.
What you don't know there, Craig, is the history behind that comment.
Now this has all gone a little bit Sussex. You know, I've changed the subject really quickly there.
Yeah.
Newcastle in this, a few great plays to start this drive, but now they've just started motioning a receiver into a blocking point to run stretch behind him. The whole defense knows it's coming. Charlie Goff's playing the wrong side of your roll line. You know, from a really great, brave early play design, it went into a little bit of a
Brings up 3rd and long.
open tray formation. Paul Richardson in at tight end for the first time so far. Yeah, he's in a tight end open formation, I believe. What they call tray.
Pump fakes.
It's giving it. It's a first down. You see he plants his feet, Jacob Shaw.
He went downtown, he pump faked, and he broke it off after about 17, 18 yards on the comeback to the outside.
Yeah, and I believe, to be honest...
Do you know what made that play, Jonathan? I'm going to sing out here, the offensive line give him all kinds of time.
One of the things I said in the first half is that the O-line haven't stuck to the task. They needed to sustain the block longer. That was an example of them doing it.
You can't throw a 15, 16 yard late breaking out without all kinds.
I believe that's an option route as well. Shotton has been running that for the last 5 years up at the Saints and here, and he, I believe he just wasn't,
change your formation pre-snap. Drops back again. Throws it underneath. That's a
Shot on the
beautiful catch
slant.
by number 23. Had to turn around and catch the ball behind him.
And
Didn't break stride. Jacob Shotton.
He immediately goes vertical to tack an extra 10 after the catch as well. I mean, there's no point if you've watched any of the streams pretending anything that I'm anything other than Jacob's biggest fanboy.
I don't know. There's been the Boston Creeper?
Boston Cream, Phil Sabelli.
Boston Cream what?
The Boston Cream, Phil Sabelli. His name's Phil Sabelli. He's from Boston, and he's the cream of the crop. So it's dead easy. It's A follows B follows C.
So this is a better drive.
Absolutely.
We've had a change of personnel.
We've
got a different running back, a new tight end in. Oh, some big hits going on. Number 44 really stuck it to that interior lineman that got through.
Still running. Yeah, and the sideline are juiced about it as well. Because
I like this new formation. There's a bit more intensity to this offense at the moment. That number 44, there was a bit of pressure up the middle. He just stuck his nose in there and stopped it.
Really interesting change. I know Snaith's gone off, and he's one of your right tackles, and they've got a good sort of utility player in at right tackle. They've switched the running back to hard nose. The Rams have been sending a lot more pressure.
Yep.
And Henry's been escaping a lot earlier in the process, but he's been extending the play, and still he's made a play with his feet. He's made a late throw. That kind of running for your life aspect a little bit heightens the senses sometimes, and Henry's on it right now.
Okay, we've got backside blitz coming.
Safety.
Oh, he gets to him. Number 4 telegraphed it a bit early. I don't think the QB was looking that way and didn't see it.
I don't think he needed to look though. Did you notice that he took a 3-step drop and then took 3 steps sideways?
Now, number 4 for the Rams, James Hudson, had a blitz. He came early, had a clear shot, and he sort of pulled up at the end there. Do you think that is players not wanting to get flagged for late hits on the QB? Because he had a clear shot there and he could have hit him full speed and been within the rule of the game. Stack left and stack right.
I mean, it has to be, because if you just don't want to hit him because you don't want to hit him.
So on the left here, we've got all kinds of space, and this stack formation's quite narrow, so we can have one breaking in and out. Oh, fumble snap, and the Rams fall on it.
I believe the Rams have got that,
Yeah, it's a turnover. I think as the centre was hitting it, it might have hit his own leg. As he was snapping it, hit his own leg.
Great comment there on the beforehand on the stack versus the stack, the open field space. The issue that the Vikings had, I mean, forgetting the actual snap, is that the open field defensive end was Adam Cowley, who's had a great game. So, okay, if they've got a 6-man box and you want to run it, you've got to read somebody. And because the field was this way, you think, okay, I'm going to read Adam Cowley.
Yeah, but
that's an issue in
itself. On the whiteboard, it's perfectly acceptable.
Absolutely.
You draw it up, you read him, he makes a mistake, you punish him. But when he's the quality of player he is, he's actually going to disrupt that. He's going to take 2 jobs. You've seen him modifying his attack angle to make it more horizontal than vertical. So the quarterback's not got nothing to do. He has to hand it. Rolls right.
QB's going to take off here.
And there's a flag in the backfield.
And the QB should have taken off. He looked like he was going to take off. He decided to pull up, but he had no chance of completing his mechanic in time, and he just threw the football into
I'm not sure. Number 32 did him no favours. He took off downfield and was not looking back for the throw.
And it's holding, so we're now looking at 1st and 20. To be honest, against this, 1st and 20 is bad, but 2nd and 10 is pretty bad as well, so we'll see.
Which would you take, 1st and 20 or 2nd and 10? 2nd and 10. I'd take 2nd and 10.
With my offence, 2nd and 10. But, you know, with this offence, probably 2nd and 10, because 20's a long way.
Oh, yeah. So Chris Lawton, number 23, in at QB again. Gives it right, immediately brought down.
Yeah, and you can just see the difference there between like an elite
57 Dick Carr. Was he playing defensive tackle?
It looked like he was, yeah. You can see the difference between like an elite quarterback and he's an elite player, but he's not an elite quarterback. He momentarily hesitated on either that QB power or that midline, whichever one it was, and that was enough for the backside to get him. You've just got to have those motor feet and get going.
But here's the thing, you've got a player like Dick Carr, who is big and fast. You could play him as a backer, where he's big for a backer, or you could play him at a lineman, where he's incredibly quick.
He is a linebacker.
You know, he's big enough to be a lineman. He's just exceptionally quick at the position.
And I think if Dick had played...
Drops back, goes long on the sideline. That is a beautiful grab under great double coverage.
He's got it, yeah. What a great catch.
I mean, the free safety was over the top. The cornerback was on him the whole way.
What's nice is Sabelli and Joyce have had a huge day all day. They've got multiple interceptions, multiple pass breakups. They've got hits, they've got tackles. And every time they did something good, Winrow celebrated with them and said, well done, man.
Yeah.
And actually on that play, both the cornerback and free safety went, all right, fair play.
Yeah, well, that was a great catch. Sometimes when somebody makes a great throw and a great catch, all you can hope for is you make the tackle straight away, which is what they did.
I'd be pretty certain that that's Chris Lawton's longest pass of his career as well.
Okay, rolls right. And that's slightly overthrown, intended for number 32 on the pass. Robson.
Went for one and one bounce, missed it.
So Jonathan, we're going to talk about MVP for the game.
It's going to be 1st and 5 anyway. Yeah, we've got offsides here, and this is going to be 1st and 5. So that was a free play. Yeah, MVPs. Lots of people. I mean, Chris Lawton's played both ways. Charlie Goff has been huge for the Rams. Connor Joyce has been everywhere. Sabelli's got multiple interceptions. Jacob Shotton's got multiple touchdowns.
Ducey Burwell took one to the house for the go-ahead 6-0.
There was a reason I was leaving him to last. I was going to say
maybe I'd just cut straight to the chase, Jonathan.
Yeah,
or you were trying to build up to it.
I was trying to build up loads of players though, because there's been some fantastic standout performances.
Josh Penny's come in, played out of position at cornerback, made some good plays.
I can't see past Ducey myself. Birthday boy, changed the game. And actually with this Vikings defence.
Keeps right. And it's stuffed out, number 57 in a defensive tackle. That's twice we've seen him in that position. He's literally killed that bread and butter play for the flex bone.
Yeah, like if this shutout holds, Ducey Burwell won the game in a blink of an eye a couple of hours ago.
Yeah.
And he's continued to play excellently. We were talking about Dick before, and Dick's played most of his career at strong outside linebacker. And I think
which is where he's going now. We've gone to a 40 front.
I think if he played in an
second
era
and 2,
where like the underfront was a lot more was played a lot
drops
more.
Drops back, looks right, goes for the corner, the blown, and the Vikings with a turnover get out of jail because that was a blown coverage. Number 32 was free in the end zone. It was underthrown, and number 20 jumps up, makes the interception. Thomas McKean.
Great play on the ball.
Well, I mean, he held on to it. He was fortunate it was underthrown because number 32 was through into the end zone. Connor Robson untouched. Just the QB couldn't deliver it. But, I'm saying they got out of jail, but this defense has been getting the Vikings out of jail for quite a while now.
Well, I mean, out of jail's a bit harsh. They're winning 22-0 for about the 4th or 5th shutout of the season. What they do...
I'm looking at the play and the drive, Jonathan.
But what they do is they make you be right 15 times in a row.
To
and
score.
Guess what? On the 7th play of the drive, they were absolutely categorically wrong, and it's a turnover. That's the 5th interception of the game.
Yep.
So if they are forcing a flexbone offense to pass it directly to their DBs, then they're in a good position.
Okay, we've gone spread from the pistol.
There's 101. I don't think the Rams will take time out if they kneel on this. The only issue is the space to do it out the gun.
So I got flag.
I think this is going to be a hold.
Yeah, and
or a high-low block on. I think
which
it's
is
going to be
unfortunate
on
as the running back Johnny Mbaye manages to pop it for about a 25 to 30 yard gain.
Yeah, but I think that happened.
I think he's instantly subbed out after that long run as well.
Yeah.
Number 24, Tiga coming in.
I think the issue is an offensive lineman rugby tackled the linebacker that was going to tackle him, which kind of.
Yeah, so that's a half distance. Is that going to stick them back on their own 4 yard line?
Yeah, roughly. Maybe less, 3.5.
So still everything to play for here. You do not want to give up points.
No, and absolutely, and unfortunately there hasn't been much time left.
So
in the
number
game.
11 trotting
Nathan Baker.
Nathan Baker.
And he's just trying. Yeah, it's a difficult situation.
So welcome to the game. You're going to get some snaps. You're going to be stood in your own end zone. Please, we don't want to give up a safety.
Yeah, please step forward and kneel down, young man. It's a grim job, isn't it, being a backup QB? It's all right in the NFL where you get paid millions. Or whatever.
Yeah, it's probably better because you don't get hit in the face. So pressure from the Rams, from backside, misses. It's a spin move, but another flag. Another flag. That's probably going to be holding or an illegal block on the Vikings.
I think it's going to be an illegal. It's either a hold or an illegal cut on the left tackle.
So once again, we see the running back for the Vikings subbed in.
Yeah, one of these funny situations where that's not, I think I see the block which it was. Matthew Carney strikes hard and low into Cowley's legs, and it's kind of a half cut block, a half roll up. But because he's gone to the ground, they've said, oh, you must have like held him or tackled him.
So it's a half distance, puts them back on their own 2-yard line. 1st and 14 on their own 2. And from the pistol, the quarterback is now stood in the end zone.
Yeah, I mean, a tough one, this.
Not for the defense. Send pressure. There we go. Throws it. Intended for number 1, Paul Richardson, who did have the angle, but it was slightly in front.
Yeah. So, 35 seconds. So by yeah, so basically the Rams have just shouted from the side and the coach said, just go for it, all out, go for it. They check
cover
what
0
line it's on. It's on the 1.5 yard line. They're emptying the box. They want people to declare. Number 4's decided he's going back in the box. But that's great because they've shown it.
Throws the slant again.
And that is PI.
Yeah, that's defensive PI against number 18.
And a first down.
So Ross Hammond,
Vikings.
he didn't need to lean on his back there because the ball was once again overthrown where it can't be picked. But that's going to give the Vikings a little bit more breathing space from this end zone.
We've just heard from Coach O'Regan there. That's it, kneel it out. Okay, so it's defensive, pass interference. What was really good was Coach O'Regan, first year OC, he's got them in the split bunch out there, okay, and he's saying, so not split, the stack, and he's saying wider, wider, wider. It was really
make the
crystal
box clear who's in the box.
Number 4 went out with him until it was too far, and then he said, you know what, I'm going to have to go back, I'm going to have to go. And number 4 wanted to, but at least you've seen it, you've declared it, you catch the snap, you throw the ball up, and because they're playing sort of press man, it's PI and a first down.
25 seconds.
Offensive, defensive pass interference.
So the Vikings come with second and very short, but most importantly, they're now no longer stood in their own end zone.
How is it not a first down though? It's an automatic first down. And I know they're taking a knee.
Well, I think we're going to take a knee.
But how on pass interference is it not a first down? So they've just changed. Yeah, here we go. Sorry, did I say that on air?
I think for flip's sake, as Jonathan said there, in a slight.
It's one of the things though, you've got to get right. If you're going to be picky about things, you've got to get the absolute basics right. Like when it's a first down, signal it as a first down. Even if.
So as Jonathan says, we're coming to the closing stages of this game.
They're just
looking the Vikings kneeling it out with a 3-score lead.
And bang on prediction. 3 scores to none. Yeah, so we're here. There's a little bit of confusion when they let the clocks down, but the handshakes come in. And I think overall, a good-natured game that broke down in just one moment of madness, really.
So as predicted before the game, a reasonably close affair with the Vikings coming out on top. Most importantly, Jonathan, though, for me, Rams scored 0 points.
Yeah.
So your defense has had a shutout against the number 3 team in the conference.
Defense won 6-0 without anyone else turning up.
Yeah.
You know, and okay, if you just go knee punt, the defense has to play a lot longer. But it's such a great feeling. It's not that often it happens. The defense can literally go. Often you say defense wins championships, offense wins games.
Yeah.
Actually, the defense 100% won the game today.
Yeah.
The offense just decided by how much.
Yeah.
You know, before the offense had got a first down, the defense had won the game, and that's an incredible achievement that the Vikings can be very proud of.
So are we agreed that for that very early but very telling difference maker and a shutout from the defense? I mean, on defense, for me, there was 3 guys stood out. Connor Joyce was free safety, made some great tackles, made an interception. Phil Sabelli, I'm going to say 4. Phil Sabelli at cornerback. Dick Carr.
Yep.
Josh Tucker played a supporting role.
Well,
Josh Penny played a supporting role.
When there was only a 1-score or 2-score game, he's known for his hard-nosed downhill sort of A-gap to A-gap, B-gap to B-gap defence. But he was in the back corner of the end zone breaking up a pass. That's huge range from that linebacker. And it's he had a great job as well. A big shout out to Robbie Brumpton, who played all sorts of positions, you know.
As well as doing a bit of coordinatory coaching.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what this brings up then, Jonathan, is East Kilbride at East Kilbride versus the Vikings.
Yep.
It's not winner takes all because there is a points differential from the last EKP game, but they are in the lead.
Yeah, and there's all and it's not.
Can we
winners
remember
takes
what the
all
point
because,
differential was there?
It was 8-5, wasn't it? It was a real ugly
So it's
one.
a 3-point differential.
Win by 4 for home seed for the Vikings.
And what it's probably looking like is home seed against second place, with whoever loses that match goes away to Sandwell.
Yeah, good play. You're seeing a hard working, a little bit dejected, but physically, you know, they've left it all on the field and they've done really, really well.
Well, defensively, the Rams played sound football.
Oh,
they gave up, 3, maybe 4
Two-
explosive plays the whole match.
Yeah. I mean, they had a moment after half-time with that great drive where there was a 70-yard stretch, a 10-yard stretch, and a 10-yard pass. But yeah.
You can move over there because we'll turn the other camera off so you may as well talk to.
But yeah, the Rams did exactly what they set out to achieve. They're going to stifle the run. They're going to play the game hard and physically. And okay, the Vikings have got more explosive players. When we were talking pre-game about last week's game, the game in the South, we were incredibly impressed by how explosive they looked, how physical they were.
Yeah.
A lot
of
athleticism. We did say they were a little more hit and miss.
Yeah.
And actually, the Rams have got some great players, some great athletes, but they are very much grit, determination, grind you down. I think one of the things that sets the Vikings in that elite group is they are grit, toughness, grind you down, with a few more exceptional athletes.
Well, we'll see, because the next game up at East Kilbride is going to be the big one.
Yeah, absolutely. Have we got that confirmed that it's the very next one, or have they got one more in between?
So the Northumberland Vikings play the Aberdeen Roughnecks
On the 28th of July. Is that going to be No, so it's on the 21st of July. We're not streaming, but it's away, isn't it? Okay, so it's away at East Kilbride.
currently not streaming.
So the next game is East Kilbride, which does mean that Howard Snaith will likely miss it. He's just off screen to the left, head in hands. And it is a huge, huge game. The way that the Vikings defense are playing, they'll be disappointed to even have conceded 8 the first game.
Well, the thing
And
is,
I
you're
think
going to
they-
go
I
into
think-
that matchup against East Kilbride. If you're the head coach, thinking we're not going to concede too many points.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a close game either way. So you're either going to
Yeah.
lose a very close game, or your offense is going to turn up and you're going to win.
we said it pre-game as well, that the Vikings are always going to score something big. They're going to score
Well,
like
you
a
said
40
they're always
or a
going to score
50.
2 touchdowns,
Wh-
which
wh-
today is what they did offensively.
And that's on a bad day. They're always going to be explosive. It looks like we're going to be joined here by game MVP, birthday boy, 26 years old, looks 22.
What's up?
What's up, Deuce?
What's going on?
Well done. So we're joined. We've awarded you the MVP.
Grateful.
We've talked about this match, but the one thing that's run through this season and in previous seasons is the Vikings defense has always kept this team in it. And Jonathan said, if the offense hadn't scored, the defense would have won the game 6-0. Now, you had a lot of responsibility, A and B gap, stopping that middle run, but on one of the few times where they threw the slant over the middle, you read the pass, you stepped forward, you dropped back, you picked it up, and you went into the end zone. You did 6-0 in the first quarter. How did that feel?
That felt good, man. On my birthday, that felt good. I know my mom and my dad's watching, my brother, so just to be able to play in front of them, man, it felt good. I feel good.
They have been in the comments, and they've been
they've been following you.
Fans.
They've been following you. So, I mean, on that defense, there was a couple of names stood out. Connor Joyce at free safety was everywhere. He made some big tackles. Phil Sabelli with 2 picks.
Definitely.
We had Dick Carr, who, especially when he moved to defensive tackle in that fourth quarter, was really sound. But there weren't any weaknesses in the defense today. So what does that say to you going ahead to play in this big crunch game against East Kilbride?
Just preparation, and we're hungry to play them again. They beat us, man, and they got us, and it was close. So just preparation. The guys just studying film. And just practice, man.
Practice. You mentioned preparation. How much of that interception is down to knowing that most likely the first pass of the game was going to be a slant?
Man, I just study film. Like I told you before the game, I've seen this team play. I've seen their scheme before when I played for Durham. So when I watched film, I knew they only got a couple pass routes. And so when I see that pass read, I know where that ball is going. So it just helped me a lot watching film and dropping right there to my coverage.
Well, it's a great birthday. I said earlier, if I was 26 and you could ask me what I wanted to do on my birthday, it'd be winning a game like this with a pick six.
Bless,
so
beautiful
congratulations, thing. And your next game I believe is against Aberdeen. Is that correct? At home.
No, we've got away East Kilbride.
Away East Kilbride. That is the winner takes all.
Yeah, we need that one.
The Viking Aberdeen game is the next game we're going to stream.
I see.
I believe Onside are doing Leicester Falcons Titans next week, which is a huge game. Get you back to your boys, showered up, rest up. Man.
Congratulations.
Appreciate you.
Happy birthday as well.
Thank you. Appreciate you. Thank you.
Want to say anything to your folks?
Hi, Mama.
Good boy. And we're joined now by Mick. I nearly called you Michael, your Sunday name.
It's okay. Well, it's Sunday.
It is true.
It's allowed. Okay, we're just going to start wrapping it up now. That puts the Vikings still in a similar position to what they were, only lost for 1 game. It's all or nothing in 2 weeks' time, Coach.
Yeah, I mean, that's what it comes down to. Slightly worse than a coin flip. Vikings have to believe that they can shut East Kilbride out. They're going to need a little bit more offense than the 5 points they got last time.
Yeah.
Here's the question, is that offensive production going to come through an increase in the running game, or are you going to rely on that big play, explosive?
Well, I think you saw today, the Vikings played around with the structure of their offense a lot more than they had, and they got success when the Rams weren't allowed to line up in the way they wanted in their base formation.
You said number 40, you forced him into a 3-point stance. When he was in a 2-point stance, he really
when
influenced the game.
When he was playing 5-tech in a 2-point stance and reading the zone read, he was playing 2 players worth. When they put a tight end in, all of a sudden he was in a 3-point stance, 7 technique, he was reach blocked, and there was a 70-yard stretch. I think the Vikings have to do that against East Kilbride. East Kilbride with over the top glowing talk and praise about their youth structure, their junior structure, and the fact that they've got so many graduates and rookie players, and they're such a young club. I think the Vikings in these 2 weeks, we've got the week off for the coaching convention, have to get a game plan where they move people around, they look at different formations, and they say, can these young kids line up right? Because all season they've played right.
So here's my question then, interestingly, as we get towards these crunch games where you are playing the best in the conference, you're now saying it's no longer about the individuals, it's becoming more a burden on the coaching of both of these teams to go out and win it.
I mean, the players still have to do it, but yeah, I think...
but I'm talking about emphasis. I mean, if you play a lower level team, your players can win it regardless of your game plan. We're now getting to the point where the coaches have to step up. And the same for East Kilbride, and they have quality coaching
Here's
as well.
one for you as well. How much will it affect the EKP younger players who've never been in that position before? Is that going to be a factor?
Oh, absolutely, and they're the players. You have to get after. You have to get after them physically. You got to go and crack block a DB that's playing his first ever adult game. Put a real man body on him and say, "Is this what you want to do?"
Yeah.
And I'm not saying they're going to fold. I actually think they're going to play them straight up. They're going to line up right. They're extremely well coached. They're extremely physical, and I think they'll relish that challenge. But I just think if you line up in 2x2 and run inside zone, the front will gobble you up. If you pass on 3rd and long, the DBs will do their job. I think we've got to see something. I think a big early trick play Jacob Shotton can throw it. Jacob Shotton can catch it. Jordan Matthews can throw it. Jordan Matthews can catch it.
Trying to put in something unpredictable that sees what they do when they don't see something to recognise.
Because the big thing about the Vikings in the last EKP game, they went down and they were always chasing something. But if you've got this good of a defence and you score first, like Ducey did today, you flip the mental proposition the entire time.
But if anything though, Jonathan, if you look at that game we covered between the Rams and the EKP, the team that's impressed me the most with changing around with formations and creating mismatches or one-on-one has been East Kilbride Pirates.
Absolutely, yeah. And it's...
and is that going to be the difference?
It's no surprise that that's why they're at the top of the division, because not only are the players extremely physically prepared, they're mentally prepared, they make very few mistakes, and I think that the Vikings actually...
The level of the coaching of that programme is...
I think that the Vikings need to almost take a leaf out of their book offensively, because actually I believe that the Vikings defence is 5%, 10% better than the Pirates defence.
I would agree with that, but I would say that the offence of EKP have showed enough variation and can exploit just very slight mismatches, because there's some real great players on this Vikings defence. You're going to have to find a weakness and exploit it.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think that the Vikings need to do the same, because I think that right now they're 10 to 15% behind on offence.
Yeah,
and they've got to open or close one of those gaps.
All right. Well, thank you, gentlemen, once again.
No problem at all.
We'll see you in 3 weeks' time here against Aberdeen. Week off next week for the coaches' convention, so there's no football anywhere. Big sigh, boo.
But then unless you're going to the coaches' convention.
Unless you're going to, absolutely.
Which is excellent, by the way.
And then we go to EKP away on the 21st, and we're back here on the 28th. So thanks for watching. We'll see you again.